Chapter 2483. Xiaoka's sudden arrival startled Chi-Chi, and she quickly retracted her hand that was rummaging through Lin Yi's backpack. She glared at Xiaoka, annoyed. What was wrong with this person? She didn't recognize them, and there were so many seats around them. Why did she have to sit next to them? Wasn't she just being annoying? But Xiaoka was already sitting next to them, and Chi-Chi couldn't just kick her out, could she? Helplessly, Chi-Chi could only give up and look for other opportunities. Ahem! Xiaoka turned her head to look at Lin Yi and realized that Lin Yi didn't seem to notice her. She coughed twice. Chi-Chi was waiting for Xiaoka to sit down and eat, and she wanted to find a chance to make a move, but Xiaoka suddenly coughed twice, giving her a fright. Her heart almost fell out of her chest, and she quickly retracted her hand. Lin Yi turned to Xiaoka helplessly, but Lin Yi didn't say anything after some hesitation. He knew that Xiaoka might have noticed something, but Lin Yi couldn't say anything in front of Chi-Chi. At that moment, Chi-Chi's phone rang. She took it out and looked at the caller ID. She quickly stood up and said to Lin Yi, "Young warrior, I'll go take this. Wait for me." With that, Chi-Chi walked quickly to a corner of the restaurant and carefully picked up the phone. With Chi-Chi gone, Xiaoka had some space to interact with Lin Yi. "Ha, it's me." Xiaoka lowered her voice and hinted to Lin Yi, "It's me." Lin Yi was speechless. He didn't want to acknowledge Xiaoka at first because he didn't want to drag her into this. It wasn't that he was avoiding her, but now that Xiaoka had taken the initiative, Lin Yi couldn't act like he didn't know her anymore. "Flying Sparrow, it's been a while," Lin Yi said. Chapter 2484. The elixir had been put up for auction, and Lin Yi's bottle was still with him. Lin Yi wouldn't be stupid enough to put it in his backpack. As well, what if Chi-Chi decided to steal it too? Lin Yi would be in big trouble. After doing all that, Lin Yi sat cross-legged on his bed, channeling the second stage of the art of dragon mastery as he waited for Chi-Chi's arrival. He guessed that Chi-Chi wouldn't be able to resist coming to his room soon, looking for a chance to steal the blue crystal. As expected, Lin Yi heard a knock on the door not long after. "Who is it?" Lin Yi said with a smile as he walked over. "It's me." Chi-Chi tried to make her voice sound seductive. She didn't know how to seduce men, but she'd seen it in dramas before. It wasn't too strenuous for her to do it now, but it was a little embarrassing. Fortunately, her face was covered, and no one could see her face. Lin Yi opened the door and let Chi-Chi in. Chi-Chi closed the door after entering before turning to Lin Yi. "Young warrior, thank you so much for helping out today. I'd like to thank you in advance." Lin Yi was speechless. Which TV show did she see this way of speaking? But Lin Yi wasn't in the mood to tease her anymore. He only nodded. "It's nothing." Lin Yi's attitude towards her suddenly became a little cold, and Chi-Chi's heart jumped. Why did Lin Yi not like her anymore? Wasn't he touching her chest like a pervert before? Why was he so indifferent when she threw herself into his arms? This change made Chi-Chi's heart skip a beat. She didn't know what made Lin Yi like this, but since she was already here, she couldn't just give up. She had to get the blue crystal back. She gritted her teeth and hugged Lin Yi, falling into Lin Yi's embrace, but Chi-Chi was thinking to herself, "For little Joe's illness, I endured, but today's humiliation, I will return it tenfold. Just you wait, when I become powerful. The first thing I will take is your life." Lin Yi paused at Chi-Chi's sudden action, but understood the reason immediately. It was most likely because of his attitude. This conjecture. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Although Lin Yi had his hands on Chi-Chi earlier, he'd at least shown that he was interested in her. This made it easier for Chi-Chi to get close to him and steal the blue crystal. But if Lin Yi wasn't interested in Chi-Chi, then Chi-Chi wouldn't have the chance to steal the crystal. Lin Yi pushed Chi-Chi away helplessly. He knew that Chi-Chi must be grinding her teeth in anger, but he had to put on a fawning front. This girl's heart was still very strong, but it was also what Lin Yi admired the most. She was the same as Xiaoka, having her own beliefs and stubbornness. Xiaoka was willing to give up a lot for the children in the orphanage, and Chi-Chi was the same. She was willing to sacrifice herself for her friends. And so Lin Yi really couldn't bear to take advantage of her. At least the current Chi-Chi made Lin Yi feel that she wasn't that bad, and she wasn't that selfish. It was reasonable for him to steal the blue crystal. Looking at it from another angle, if someone stole his chance to cure Xiao Xiao, Lin Yi would probably do the same. Haha, no rush. I'll go take a shower first. Lin Yi said this to create a chance for Chi-Chi to steal, letting her steal the blue crystal. Otherwise, with this cool girl's thieving skills, there was no chance of success at all. Lin Yi was already lax enough, but Xiaoka was different. The blue crystal was already in his hands. But Chi-Chi clearly wasn't an expert in this area. So Lin Yi went to take a shower and left her in the room to steal. Okay. Chi-Chi heard Lin Yi's words and was overjoyed. This guy really was a big pervert. He still wanted to take a shower? It was obvious what he would do after a shower. Humph. You deserve to lose your things. I'll steal the blue crystal after you take a shower. Hee, what a great opportunity. Chi-Chi, naturally, didn't know that Lin Yi was doing this on purpose. She didn't connect this person in front of her with the Lin Yi and Ling Yi from before. Lin Yi didn't say anything and walked into the bathroom. He locked the door and took off his clothes to take a shower. Chi-Chi heard the sound of water coming from the bathroom and was overjoyed. After a while, she made sure that Lin Yi was really taking a shower. Chi-Chi walked quickly to Lin Yi's backpack and started rummaging through it. The blue crystal was in Lin Yi's backpack. It wasn't hidden, so Chi-Chi saw it the moment she opened the backpack. Chi-Chi's hands were shaking as she carefully and quickly stole the blue crystal from Lin Yi's backpack. Her heart was racing. She had killed before, but she had no experience in stealing. Chi-Chi carefully put Lin Yi's backpack back to its original state and took a deep breath. She quickly put the blue crystal in her pocket. She didn't dare show it off in her hands. What if someone saw it and wanted to do something bad again? She'd be in big trouble. With that done, young Chi-Chi carefully made her way to the door. Xiaoka went back to her room and tidied up. She wanted to go to Lin Yi's room, but she didn't expect to see Chi-Chi sneaking into Lin Yi's room the moment she opened the door. At the same time, Xiaoka cursed Chi-Chi for being shameless. She really was a disgrace to the thief sections. She had to sacrifice her body to steal something. What a shame. Xiaoka didn't knock on the door right away. She didn't know what Lin Yi's goal was, and she was afraid that her appearance would interfere with Lin Yi's plans. So she waited in the hallway for Chi-Chi to come out. If Chi-Chi succeeded, she'd help her steal the item. Xiaoka let out a sigh of relief when Chi-Chi opened the door not long after entering the room. She tiptoed out. Xiaoka knew that Lin Yi had a goal, but she wouldn't be happy if something really happened between Lin Yi and Chi-Chi. It wasn't that she was stingy, but it was reasonable, especially with a girl like Chi-Chi who had a bad character. Xiaoka would be even more unhappy. Even if something happened, it should be with someone with high standards like her, right? And Chi-Chi came out not long after entering. Evidently, she didn't have time to do anything. Chapter 2485. Chi-Chi's clothes didn't look like anything had happened, either. Chi-Chi could open the door without making any noise, but closing it from the outside wouldn't be possible. She didn't lock the door, but left Lin Yi's door ajar as she tiptoed out of the room. But Chi-Chi saw Xiaoka walking towards her the moment she stepped out of the door. She jumped in fright and almost tripped. She didn't dare to look at Xiaoka straight in the eyes and quickly ran back to her room. How could Xiaoka not see the guilt in Chi-Chi's eyes? It seemed that she had stolen something. There was no way Xiaoka would let her take it away so easily. So, when Chi-Chi walked past with her head lowered, Xiaoka consciously brushed past her and bumped into her. Chi-Chi felt guilty and wanted to go back to her room as soon as possible, so naturally she didn't want to talk to Xiaoka. Even if she knew that Xiaoka bumped into her on purpose, she could only accept it with a guilty conscience. Xiaoka pushed open Lin Yi's door and walked in, only to find that there was no one there. At the same time, she heard the sound of water coming from the washroom. Xiaoka understood now that Lin Yi was showering, and Chi-Chi must have used this time to steal something. As for why Lin Yi went to shower, that was obvious. Chi-Chi must have seduced Lin Yi and made him shower. And Chi-Chi used this time to steal something. Otherwise, with her skills, she wouldn't have been able to win against Lin Yi at all. At that thought, Xiaoka was even more troubled. The male thief was such a big pervert, taking the bait with just a little seduction, and even going to take a bath like an idiot. If she didn't notice that something was wrong and stole the item back, he'd have lost a lot. Xiaoka thought. Xiaoka sat on the sofa, waiting for Lin Yi to come out after his shower. He suddenly felt expected what was going to happen between Chi-Chi and Lin Yi in the shower. Now that young Chi-Chi wasn't here, and she was in Lin Yi's room, would something happen between her and Lin Yi? With that thought, Xiaoka got nervous. If Lin Yi wanted to push her down, would she agree or not? Or agree? Just when Xiaoka was panicking, the washroom door opened, and Lin Yi walked out wearing a nightgown. He wasn't wearing the male thief mask, but the 1,000 silk mask that the heaven-class spider gave him. In the washroom, Lin Yi had heard the sound of Chi-Chi leaving. Chi-Chi had made it very quiet, but how could she hide it from an Earth-class mid-phase peak like Lin Yi? Lin Yi also knew that Xiaoka had come in. This was also the reason why Lin Yi didn't come out after showering. He recognized Xiaoka's footsteps and knew that she was safe in her room. As for not wearing the mask, Lin Yi was too lazy to wear it, and Xiaoka had tried to take it off many times, so he decided that he might as well take it off himself. He still had the 1,000 silk mask on, so Lin Yi wasn't worried that Xiaoka would recognize him. "Xiaoka, you're here? Is she gone already?" Lin Yi wiped his hair with a towel as he looked at Xiaoka on the sofa and asked calmly, "Huh, you knew she was gone?" Xiaoka paused for a second before answering. She realized that Lin Yi wasn't wearing the mask this time, and she was surprised and happy. She even forgot about Chi-Chi and stood up. "Male thief, is this your real face? You're finally willing to take off your mask in front of me. I'm so happy." "Ha ha." And Lin Yi smiled. "How is it? Are you disappointed?" With the 1,000 silk mask on his face, Lin Yi looked like a normal person. He didn't have the handsomeness he used to have, and he gave off the feeling that you wouldn't be able to find him in a crowd. This was the effect that the 1,000 silk mask was supposed to have. If it was too obvious, then the mask would be a failure. "Nope." Xiaoka shook her head heavily. "What you look like isn't important. What I like is the person who protected me carefully in the tomb. Plus, your looks aren't that outstanding, but in my eyes, you're perfect." Lin Yi paused. He didn't think that Xiaoka would reveal her feelings so boldly again. He didn't know how to reply to this. I'll go take a shower. Although that annoying girl left, there's still me." Xiaoka said to Lin Yi bravely. "Xiaoka, it's okay. You misunderstood." Lin Yi jumped. He was a little moved, but how could he do anything with Xiaoka in this place? He quickly waved his hand to stop her. "I suggested taking a shower. The goal was to create a chance for her to steal the blue crystal." "Ah, you let her steal it on purpose?" Xiaoka's eyes widened in shock, not understanding why Lin Yi would do this. "Xiaoka, sit down first. I'll tell you the details." Lin Yi smiled bitterly. "Actually, she's a pitiful person. She had her own persistence willing to compromise." "Oh." Xiaoka wasn't too happy hearing Lin Yi's high evaluation of young Chi-Chi, but she still sat down obediently. "Actually, the truth is like this. The thing she stole was hers, and I just took it from someone else's hands." With that, Lin Yi told Xiaoka about what happened at the practitioner's market. "Ah, so that's how it is." Xiaoka realized after listening to Lin Yi's story it really was Yang Chi-Chi's. But Xiaoka was still a little unsatisfied. Although it was hers, she was useless, and someone stole it. You stole it from the person who stole it, so it's yours. What right does she have to steal it back? That's what I thought before. I thought that she was biting the hand that fed her. I helped her get back a small chi-gathering pill, so she should be satisfied. Otherwise, she wouldn't get anything. Linny nodded. So, when she threw herself at me, I used that as an excuse to tease her. But later, in the restaurant, I heard a phone call from her, and I changed my mind. Lin then told Xiaoka about the phone call. Xiaoka couldn't help but fall silent. Indeed, if what Linny said was true, then Yang Chi-Chi and herself were quite similar in some aspects. Chapter 2486. Xiaoka was doing it for the children in the orphanage, and Chi-Chi was doing it for her sick family or friends, I see, but I took back what she stole. Xiaoka helplessly took out the blue crystal and gave it to Lin Yi. Lin Yi froze as he looked at the crystal in Xiaoka's palm. He didn't think that Xiaoka would take it back. Of course, to Xiaoka, it was as easy as lifting a finger. Yang Chi-Chi took a while to calm herself down after getting back to her room. She patted her chest and carefully put her hand into her pocket, wanting to take out the blue crystal for a look. But the moment she put her hand in her pocket, her face froze. Where was the blue crystal? The blue crystal was gone. Chi-Chi rummaged through her pockets once more, but it was empty. There was nothing there at all. Chi-Chi was completely stupefied. Where did the blue crystal go? She'd stolen it and put it in her pocket, and they'd been so close, there was no way she'd lost it. Right. Chi-Chi suddenly remembered someone, and that was Xiaoka. She'd only met Xiaoka recently, and when she came out of Lin Yi's room, they brushed past each other, and Xiaoka even bumped into her. Could she have stolen the blue crystal at that time? Chi-Chi's eyes flashed with anger at the thought. She was very angry. Why was it always Xiaoka who ruined her plans? She stormed out of the room and went straight to Lin Yi's room. She remembered what happened before. She remembered that Xiaoka went into Lin Yi's room. Lin Yi heard the footsteps in the hallway, and he put on the male thief's mask. Coming to Lin Yi's room, Chi-Chi saw that Lin Yi's door wasn't locked, so she pushed the door open and walked in. Seeing Xiaoka holding her blue crystal in front of Lin Yi like it was a treasure, Yang Chi-Chi was furious. In actuality, she had misunderstood Xiaoka. Xiaoka didn't offer anything, but she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She was kind enough to help Lin Yi get the blue crystal back, but it was Lin Yi who let Yang Chi-Chi steal it. You're such a wicked girl. You stole my blue crystal. Are you going to use it to please this big bully? Chi-Chi pointed at Xiaoka and said angrily. Xiaoka had been sympathizing with Chi-Chi and was ready to send the blue crystal back, but Chi-Chi started scolding her the moment she walked in. Not to mention, Chi-Chi was calling the perfect man in her heart a bully. How could she not be angry? What a joke. This blue crystal clearly belonged to the man. He stole it from that skinny guy. How did it become yours? Xiaoka didn't back down. Aren't you ashamed to come here and cause a ruckus? Chi-Chi had an idea. That's right. Even if he took it from that skinny guy, I took it from him. So it's mine now. Oh, that's right. You said it yourself. You took it. So it's yours now. I stole it from you. So it's mine now. Xiaoka said matter-of-factly. So, what are you yelling for? Aren't you ashamed of selling your body? Chi-Chi was speechless. She was no match for Xiaoka when it came to defense and deceit. Xiaoka used to be at the bottom of society, dealing with gangsters all the time. Young Chi-Chi was no match for her. What about me? What about you? You have nothing to say now. Xiaoka humphed. You tricked me into taking a bath, and you left with the blue crystal. Do you think I'm an idiot? Chi-Chi was just about to say the word I when she remembered Xiaoka's words. She felt wronged and started crying. Whoa, you're all bullying me. Chi-Chi wiped her tears. She felt wronged as she ran out the door back to her room. Xiaoka and Lin Yi, on the other hand, looked at each other. The reason why Lin Yi didn't stop Xiaoka from making things difficult for Chi-Chi was because he wanted to teach her a lesson. He was ready to return the blue crystal to her, but it was only because she needed to save a patient. He was still a little pissed off that she was biting the hand that fed her. This was why he didn't stop Xiaoka, but he didn't think that Chi-Chi would be this weak, running away after a few words from Xiaoka. Did she feel wronged? Lin Yi shook his head. She was still lacking in social experience. Male thief, I'm sorry, I didn't think I'd scare her away, Xiaoka said, embarrassed after some hesitation. It's fine, we'll talk about it later. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. I'll deal with it tomorrow. Okay. Xiaoka let out a breath of relief when she saw that Lin Yi didn't blame her. Right, Xiaoka, why did you come to the cultivators market? It seems like you have to spend a lot of money to participate in the cultivators market, right? Where did you get the invitation? Lin Yi asked. I stole it. Xiaoka said embarrassedly. I was thinking of coming here to see if I could get some money back. Huh, okay, I understand. Lin Yi said, I'll deal with it for you tomorrow. Okay. Xiaoka nodded happily. All of a sudden, Lin Yi's phone rang. Lin Yi looked at the call. It was Meng Yao, but he didn't want to answer it in front of Xiaoka, so Lin Yi was hesitated should he hang up or pick it up. But Xiaoka seemed to have noticed Lin Yi's inconvenience and smiled. You answer the phone first. I'll go back to my room. Xiaoka let out a breath of relief when she knew that Lin wasn't looking for Chi-Chi. At the same time, she knew that Lin Yi wouldn't be doing anything with her. She stood up and left the room, helping Lin Yi hang up the door before returning to her own room. Lin Yi, on the other hand, picked up the phone. Hello, I'm Lin Yi. Lin Yi, it's me. Meng Yao's voice came from the phone. Yao Yao, what's wrong? What happened? Lin Yi asked worriedly. Under normal circumstances, Meng Yao wouldn't call Lin Yi when he was out. She didn't want to disturb Lin Yi. Pin Liang came back all of a sudden today. Meng Yao was speechless at the name. She didn't think that Pin Liang would come to Donghai Industry University, not to mention that he was harassing her on the first day. Chapter 2487. Pin Liang? Why is he back? Lin Yi paused. Did he cause you trouble? Man, he came looking for me as soon as he came to school. Meng Yao said, troubled. Plus, I don't know where he learned some kung fu from, but it's really powerful. Oh, he learned kung fu? Lin Yi was surprised. Yeah, it's like this. Meng Yao told Lin Yi everything that happened today in detail. Pin Liang and Xiaofu stayed on Mount Mingri for a while, and Pin Liang was accepted as an in-name disciple by the head of the sect, Pure Yang Sky Master. He was given a treasure, the mid-tier golden cicada underwear. This mid-tier golden cicada underwear could defend against any attack from a master under sky class. It was a super treasure. Pin Liang and Xiaofu didn't have good grades, but they paid to go to the joint school. They were still in the same school, but their graduation certificates were different. Pin Liang and Xiaofu didn't care about these things. The first thing they did when they got back to school was to find Meng Yao. Yao Yao. Pin Liang hadn't seen Meng Yao for a long time, and his heart was pounding with excitement. Pin Liang? Meng Yao and Yushu had just finished class and were about to go to the cafeteria for lunch when they saw Pin Liang and Xiaofu waiting for them at the economics building. Ha ha! Yao Yao. We are classmates again. This is really something to be happy about. Pin Liang knew that Meng Yao had never liked him before, but he wasn't discouraged. He finally had his chance. He was invincible under sky class, and he had the right to pursue Meng Yao again. Oh, Meng Yao nodded. Shu and I are going for lunch now. You can go back to your work. Meng Yao still didn't have a good attitude towards Pin Liang. She said a few words and prepared to leave. Wait, Yao Yao, where's Lin Yi? Pin Liang asked as soon as he got back. He wanted to spar with Lin Yi to see who was better, himself or Lin Yi. Lin Yi's busy these past 2 days. What's up with you? Meng Yao asked. Haha, it's fine. Isn't he too incompetent as a bodyguard? Pin Liang shook his head and said sarcastically, Yao Yao, I think that Yao Yao is the only one who can protect you. You should replace him. Substitution? Who should they replace? Could it be you? Meng Yao frowned. She didn't want to waste any more time with Pin Liang. Wasn't this guy scared of Lin Yi? Why did he become so arrogant after disappearing for a period of time? That's right. Pin Liang patted his chest happily after hearing Meng Yao's words. I was just about to recommend myself. I didn't expect Yao Yao's eyes to be so accurate. Meng Yao was speechless at Pin Liang's shameless words. After a while, then he said helplessly, I'm going to eat. Don't. How about this? I'll treat you to dinner. Pin Liang quickly stopped Meng Yao. No need. Meng Yao said faintly, Yao Yao, we're old classmates after all. You won't reject an old classmate's treat, will you? Pin Liang said, besides, I'm no longer the Pin Liang from before. I'm the Master Pin Liang now. Even Lin, it might not be as good as me. I'll be your bodyguard this time. I promise that no one will dare to bully you. Meng Yao frowned and wanted to say something, but Yushu interrupted. Liang-yi, are you really that good? Of course, I'm pretty good now. Pin Liang nodded. Oh, in school we have a few enemies. Since you're so powerful, why don't you come with us? Since you're so good, why don't you beat them up for me? Yushu rolled her eyes and thought of a way to get rid of Pin Liang. Oh, someone dares to bully you? That Lin Yi doesn't care? He's not a good bodyguard at all. Pin Liang was puzzled. Shield bro, he intervened. He beat that person up, and that person begged for mercy. But I don't think it's enough, so I want to beat him up again. If you can't do it, then forget it. Yushu said, move aside. Yao Yao sis and I are going to dinner. Sure, who said I can't do it? Pin Liang said immediately, tell me, who do you want me to beat up? The boxing club's president, Li Biaohan. You go beat him up. Yushu said, oh, okay, I'll remember. Pin Liang nodded and promised, I'll show Yao Yao what I'm capable of. Just wait and see. Okay, after you beat him up, I'll send you on a few missions. If you pass, I'll consider persuading Yao Yao sis to take you as her bodyguard, Yushu said. Ha, Shu, you and I are the best. He. Pin Liang took out a map of the school, looked at it, and waved his hand happily. Xiaofu, let's go fight. Yes, Liang bro. Xiaofu replied quickly and walked towards the boxing club with Pin Liang. Phew, they're finally gone. Meng Yao sighed in relief and turned to Yushu. Shu, why did you send him to beat up that Li Biaohan? That Li Biaohan is a golden class late phase peak. Didn't Pin Liang say how strong he is? Then let him get beaten up. Yushu said, if you don't send him to get beaten up, he'll still bother us. You're right. But isn't this a bit bad? Meng Yao didn't like Pin Liang, but she felt that Shu's idea was a bit bad. What's bad about it? It's not bad at all. Yushu said matter-of-factly, how can he be a bodyguard if he can't even beat Li Biaohan? All right, I hope he doesn't get beaten to death. Meng Yao shook her head and went to the cafeteria with Yushu. But Meng Yao and Yushu hadn't even finished their meal when Pin Liang came to the cafeteria with Xiaofu. He found Meng Yao and Yushu and said proudly, Li Biaohan, it's done. He's so weak in front of me. He's just a golden class late phase peak. I'll beat him up until he's sent to the hospital. Ah, Meng Yao froze at Pin Liang's words. Yushu, on the other hand, widened her eyes in shock. Was this Pin Liang? He beat Li Biaohan? He even knew that Li Biaohan was a master at the peak of the late phase of the golden class. Chapter 2488. Ha! I told you, I'm no longer the Zhong Pingliang I used to be. I'm the Master Zhong Pingliang now. Pin Liang saw the shocked expressions on Meng Yao and Yushu's faces, pleased with himself. What do you think? I'm qualified to be your bodyguard now, right? Lin Yi's just SOL. Li Biaohan was quite the unlucky one. Pin Liang came to the boxing club, asked who Li Biaohan was, and started beating him to death with his specially made rod. This rod was given to him by Zhang Naipeo and was made out of mystic steel, the material used to forge mystical weapons. While the everyday sect didn't have the ability to forge it into a mystical weapon, it wasn't hard to forge a rod that didn't require qi. The reason why Pin Liang was given this rod was to make up for Pin Liang's weakness of being only able to defend. Pin Liang's mid-level golden cicada undershirt could protect his entire body from harm. After putting it on, the exposed parts of his face and hands would automatically be protected. It was enough to prove that this mid-level golden cicada undershirt was a super treasure. But Pin Liang wasn't afraid of a fight. If others couldn't hit him, then he wouldn't be able to hit anyone. In order for him to win, Naipeo had asked his master, Pure Yang Sky Master, to forge this mystical steel rod for him. Although this black iron steel rod was not a heaven-rank divine weapon, it could hit all cultivators below the heaven rank. True qi protection was useless. Encountering this black iron steel rod, which was used to forge heaven-rank divine weapons, one would still be injured. But Pin Liang didn't have qi, and the damage he could do was limited. The lower the practitioner's level, the more damage he could deal. Plus, it was suitable for a long fight, and 1 or 2 hits wouldn't cause too much damage. This thing wasn't afraid of qi protection, but the damage it could deal depended on Pin Liang's strength. The stronger he was, the more vicious the damage he could deal. And so, Li Biaohan was in big trouble. Pin Liang entered the boxing club alone and started smashing Li Biaohan with his steel rod. It didn't matter if it was Li Biaohan or his men, no matter how they fought back, Zhong Pin Liang didn't dodge. As strong as Li Biaohan was, he couldn't handle Pin Liang's relentless attacks. After a while, his head was bleeding and he fainted on the ground. His lackeys were also crying out in pain from Pin Liang's attacks. Listen up, I'm Zhong Pin Liang, the boss of this school from now on. I'm now the leader of the school's young thugs. Anyone who isn't convinced can come and find me anytime. Pin Liang knocked all the boxing club members to the ground as he raised his steel rod. Meng Ao is my goddess. Anyone who dares to bully her is my enemy. I'm Yao Yao's personal bodyguard now. Come at me if you want to die. After declaring Meng Yao's ownership, Pin Liang and Xiaofu left the boxing club in a high-profile manner. Xiaofu, on the other hand, didn't make a move. Only when he saw that Pin Liang had won did he jump out and cheer. News spread like wildfire in the school, and the news of Pin Liang taking on the boxing club spread like wildfire. Yao, I've taken care of that, Li Biaohan. That guy's probably going to spend the next few months in the hospital. Pin Liang said proudly. Yeah, Liang bro, you'll know once you make a move. The entire boxing club is useless now. Liang bro took them on all by himself. Xiaofu added. Meng Yao froze. She didn't expect Pin Liang to be this strong. Yushu, on the other hand, looked at Pin Liang in disbelief. How did he become this strong? No way. She had to find something to evaluate his strength and see if he was as strong as Shield Bro. If he was stronger than Shield Bro, she had to think of a way to get rid of him. Oh, Liang-yi, I didn't expect this. You're making me dig my eyes out. Yushu said, surprised. Ha, that's right. Shu, do you think I'm qualified to be Yao Yao's bodyguard now? Pin Liang thought that Yushu really admired him. It wasn't surprising. He was so strong now, and his mentality had changed. He thought that he was the strongest. Now, I don't think so. That Li Biaohan is just the weakest. You beat him up, and that means you have a chance to be Yao Yao's bodyguard, but it's just a chance. Yushu said, next I'll give you a few missions to test you. If you complete them, I'll recommend you to Yao Yao and let you be her bodyguard. Yushu was trying to trick Pinliang again. He passed the mission, and it was just a recommendation. If Meng Yao didn't agree, everything would go to waste. But Pinliang's confidence was inflated, and naturally he didn't know that Yushu was messing with him. Instead, he was eager to show off. All right, tell me, I'll beat up whoever you want me to beat up, as many times as you want me to beat up. There's someone called Tiger Right. He has a golden class and a mystic class with him. Can you handle them? Yushu started to trick Tiger Right again. Golden class and mystic class? It's nothing. Tell me, where are they from? Pinliang nodded after hearing the twos levels. They're biology majors. Yushu said, All right, I'll go deal with them. Pinliang nodded and strode out of the cafeteria, looking for Tiger Right and his men. Yushu realized that something was wrong as well. Pinliang should know how strong a mystic class master was, but judging from his nonchalant attitude, it didn't seem like he was afraid of a mystic class master at all. Yao Yao, something's not right. Is Pinliang an earth class already? Yushu looked at Pinliang's back in disbelief. That's weird. Shoo, don't shoot yourself in the foot. What if he's really strong? Are you really going to let him be my bodyguard? Meng Yao said, speechless. I won't. My last mission is to have him fight with Shield Bro. If he beats Shield Bro, I'll recommend him, Yushu said. Oh, then you're setting him up. Meng Yao nodded, but then frowned. What if he's really stronger than Lin Yi? Yushu hesitated. Yao Yao. Actually, if he's stronger than Shield Bro, and he comes to bother you, there's nothing we can do. You're right. Meng Yao thought about it. Then, will Lin Yi be his match? Chapter 2489. I don't know, I'll test him a little more. Maybe he'll accept the inheritance? How did he get so strong all of a sudden? What a scam. Yushu couldn't understand how Pinliang had become so strong all of a sudden. Inheritance? No way. Meng Yao paused, feeling uneasy. She was really afraid that Lin wouldn't be able to take him on. Panhu Right was very happy today because Lin Yi didn't come to school. These days, he and Zhao Long had been pretending to be obedient with Lin Yi around. It wasn't that they were cowards. It was just that Lin Yi had brought them too much shock. Today, Lin Yi wasn't here, and Panhu Right and Zhao Long had been laying low for the whole morning. They were just about to go meet Han Jingjing when someone shouted at the door. Where's Panhu Right? Who's Panhu Right? Get your ass out here. Liang Bro. Pinliang knocked on the door with his steel rod as he yelled. Panhu Right froze. He was considered a tough guy in school. Other than Lin Yi, who else would dare to disrespect him? Even Li Biaohan from the Firewolves and Nia Deo from the Hidden House wouldn't dare say something like that. Other than Lin Yi, no one else dared to use the word fuck off on him. Who are you? Do you want to die? How dare you insult our master Panhu? Before Panhu Right could say anything, his two lackeys stood up and charged at the door. You two are Panhu Right's lackeys? A golden class and a mystic class? Pinliang asked as he looked at the two rushing at him. That's right. Where are you from? Yellow Hair paused. He didn't think that this guy would know his and Purple Hair's strength. He didn't seem like an idiot who didn't know anything. Could it be that he had some sort of background? Oh, if that's the case, then prepare to get beaten up. Pinliang's rod smashed over, hitting Blondie's head. He didn't split his head open, but it was still enough to draw blood. Yellow Hair didn't think that Pinliang would hit him just like that. He didn't say anything, so he didn't put up any defenses and got hit. This time he didn't fall to the ground, but he was still dizzy. Before he could react, the rod came smashing over again. Bang, bang, bang. Pinliang's speed was fast. He knew his weakness and wanted to finish the fight as soon as possible. Little bastard, you're courting death. The Yellow Hair was furious. Purple Hair, kill him. Purple Hair also reacted at this moment. When he saw Pinliang smashing his metal rod at Goldie, he threw a punch at Pinliang. However, Purple Hair was puzzled. This Zhong Pingliang didn't seem to be a practitioner. That iron rod was pretty strong, but he couldn't tell his level at all. This guy didn't have any true chi at all, and he couldn't be like other external martial arts experts who could mobilize the surrounding spiritual chi of heaven and earth to form true chi. Just how strong was this guy? However, no matter how strong he was, Purple Hair was confident that he could cripple Zhong Pingliang with one punch. He was a mystic class master. The punch wasn't weak, and he purposely held back some of his strength. Otherwise, he could have killed Pingliang with just one punch. It was just that what happened next was a little inconceivable for Purple Hair. Purple Hair's fist landed on Pingliang's body. Pingliang didn't seem to have any reaction at all. He didn't dodge, didn't even make a sound, and continued to beat the yellow hair with the metal rod. Bang, bang, bang. Pingliang smashed faster and faster, getting better and better. This was the first time he realized how fun it was to hit people. No wonder Lin Yi liked to bully him. Ouch. The yellow hair panicked when he saw that Purple Hair couldn't take down Pingliang. He didn't care about using pure energy to protect his body anymore. He charged at Pingliang and started punching and kicking. But the tragic thing was, although his punches and kicks landed on Pingliang's body, it didn't seem to have any effect, because Pingliang was still beating him fiercely. He didn't care about his and Purple Hair's attacks. Finally, the yellow hair's vision became blurry, and he lost his footing. He fainted on the ground, and Pingliang turned around and started beating Purple Hair with the steel rod. This feeling made Pingliang feel like he was walking on air. When he fought with others, others couldn't beat him, but he could beat them. Purple Hair realized that something was wrong. The kid in front of him clearly wasn't afraid of hitting. No matter how he hit him, it was useless. He didn't seem to be injured at all, and he had already suffered many external injuries. Purple Hair also realized that the rod in Pingliang's hand wasn't a normal metal rod. It seemed to be a treasure that could pass through his pure energy protection and directly hurt his body. Thinking of this, Purple Hair reached out to snatch the steel rod from Pingliang's hand. But just as his hand grabbed the end of the steel rod, he suddenly felt a strong high-voltage electricity coming from the end of the steel rod, directly spreading through Purple Hair's body. Purple Hair cried out in pain, and after a while he fell to the ground with black smoke coming out of his head. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. SB. Pingliang looked at the Purple Hair on the ground in disdain. This steel rod was something Zhang Naipeo had asked the pure Yang Sky Master to design for him. The everyday sect was a demonic sect, and naturally they had some demonic methods. Although they couldn't make Sky-class weapons, they could modify some mechanisms in the weapons. For example, Pingliang's steel rod had some mechanisms installed in it, and when someone tried to snatch it, it would automatically release high-voltage electricity. Right Coiling Tiger stood in the classroom, dumbfounded at the sudden appearance of this devil. He was shocked. Who was this kid? Where did he come from? How could he be so ferocious that he could beat his two subordinates to the ground? It's your turn. Pingliang used the steel rod to point at Right Coiling Tiger. Come over. If you don't defend, I'll give you a quick death. Who are you? Did I offend you? Yu Coiling Tiger felt a little guilty. Although he was very powerful in the Yu family, he was not powerful now. The person in front of him was obviously very strong. Most importantly, he was not afraid of fighting. This made Yu Coiling Tiger tremble with fear. I'm Zhong Pingliang. Pingliang knocked on the door frame. You didn't offend me, but you offended my goddess. Who's your goddess? Right Coiling Tiger paused. Meng Yao. I'm her personal bodyguard. Pingliang said, Meng Yao? Right Coiling Tiger paused again, almost crying. Fuck, when did I offend her? I don't even know her. The only contact I've had is when that girl next to her hit me with a bowling ball. I'm the victim. Chapter 2490. I don't care. My goal is to beat you up. Pin Liang didn't care how Coiling Tiger explained. His goal was to beat Coiling Tiger up and get credit from Yushu. He didn't care if Coiling Tiger's words were true or not. I'm the second young master of the hidden house Yu. You'll be in trouble if you beat me up. Coiling Tiger had no choice but to bring out the house Yu's name, hoping that Pin Liang would be scared and stop. What hidden house Yu? It's just a small hidden house. It's nothing. I'm the disciple of the everyday and everyday sex master, Pure Yang Sky Master. With that, Pin Liang raised his steel rod and swung it at Tiger. Right, Coiling Tiger froze. Every day, an everyday sect? Why did their disciple come to Donghai Industry University? What was going on? But before he could figure it out, he was hit by Pin Liang's iron rod. He wasn't even as good as Purple Hair and Yellow Hair. He was a pure elixir refiner with no attack or defense skills, and he had no experience at all. Cries of pain rang through the hallway, and it wasn't long before Coiling Tiger's eyes rolled back as he laid on the ground, accompanied by Yellow Hair and Purple Hair. Liang Bro, you're amazing. At this moment, Gao Xiaofu appeared out of nowhere and said proudly, "These people are a piece of cake for Brother Liang." "That's right. Don't you know who gave me this treasure?" Pin Liang left the biology building with Xiaofu and went to find Meng Yao and Yushu. Meng Yao and Yushu didn't think that Pin Liang would come back so fast, coming back in the blink of an eye. "Liangi, you took care of that Coiling Tiger?" Yushu felt that things weren't looking good. It seemed like Pin Liang was many times stronger than before. "Ha, of course. Look at who did it." Pin Liang smiled. "That kid and his two underlings were no match for me. They're just trash. How about it? Do I have the right to be Yao Yao's personal bodyguard now?" Yushu hesitated. "No, these people are small fries. Shield Bro can take care of them in a matter of minutes. If you want to be Sister Yao Yao's personal expert, you still need to work hard." "I see." Pin Liang was a little disappointed, but it made sense. Lin Yi was already in Earth class. Beating up Mystic and Golden class practitioners would be a piece of cake for him. He just proved that he could fight as well. But he didn't show Meng Yao and Yushu just how strong he was, and that was the problem. "Yeah, so you still need to prove your strength," Yushu said. "Then what's my next mission?" Pin Liang asked. "About that, let me think about it. I don't want to make it hard for you." Yushu said, "How about this, Liangi? You go back and wait for my news." "Oh, right. Sister Yao Yao said she wants to eat the spicy skewers from the food street in Songshan City. Go buy some." "Oh, that works too." Zhong Pin Liang nodded. Then he said, "Isn't it just spicy skewers? I'll go buy them now." With that, Pin Liang left with Xiaofu. Meng Yao, on the other hand, was a little troubled. Yushu might have sent Pin Liang away for now, but he'd come back sooner or later to bother them, especially now that he'd become so powerful. It'd be even harder to get rid of him now. Pin Liang's so strong. What should we do? Should we tell Lin Yi? Meng Yao thought about it. Yushu said, "Yeah, we have to tell Shield Bro, but first we need to figure out why Pin Liang's so strong." Yushu said, "Only by knowing yourself and your enemy can you win every battle. Then how do we investigate him?" Meng Yao asked. "I'm going to talk to Han Jingjing. Doesn't she like to play with high-tech stuff? Let's see if she has a listening device or something. We'll put one on Pin Liang, and we'll be able to eavesdrop on his secrets." Yushu said, "Sounds good." Meng Yao nodded. And so, while Pin Liang went to buy the spicy skewers, Yushu went to find Han Jingjing. Han Jingjing didn't have such a thing, but she knew where to buy it. But they knew where to buy it. Meng Yao drove the whole afternoon, bringing Han Jingjing and Shu to buy a listening device. When they came back, Zhong Pingliang had just come back as well. Meng Yao thought to herself that it was a close shave. Pingliang might suspect something if he saw that they weren't in school. In fact, it was all because of Meng Yao's guilty conscience. Pin Liang wouldn't think much of it, even if she wasn't in school. Shu, on the other hand, walked up to Pin Liang with the listening device in her hand and took the piping hot spicy skewers from him with a smile. Liangi, thank you. Haha, you're welcome. It's what I should do. Pin Liang said, I'll just treat it as a preview of what to do when I become Yao Yao's personal bodyguard. And not bad. It's still warm. Yushu patted Pin Liang's shoulder and stuck the listening device on his back. The listening device was very small, and it looked like a button on Pin Liang's back. If one didn't look closely, they wouldn't be able to see it. Yao asked me to encourage you. Keep it up. Xiao Liangzi, sister, Yao likes brave people. I know. Pin Liang thought that it was Minyao's idea when Yushu patted him on the shoulder. He was very excited. Yushu had been toying with him a lot in the past, but she had never patted him on the shoulder like this. This kind of change was enough to show the change in Minyao's heart. If Mingyao still hated him that much, she wouldn't have told Yushu to pat his shoulder to encourage him. From what Pin Liang could see, Yushu had always been looking down on him. She had never been this kind before. And it's good that you know. Yushu nodded. There are some things that Yao is too embarrassed to say. I'll pass it on for her. Do you want to hear it? Yes, of course I want to hear it. Pin Liang replied quickly. All right, since you want to hear it, I'll tell you. Right now, we've only seen a part of what you're capable of. To be precise, we don't know much about you yet. How about this? Try your best to challenge some masters and make a name for yourself. That's the only way you can become Yao Yao's personal bodyguard, Yushu said. Chapter 2491. It was so nice to watch without ads. Look at Shield Bro. He's famous now. Jiang Wen and Zhao Qibing are both scared to death when they hear his name, so he doesn't even need to do anything when there's a lot of trouble. He just needs to stand out and tell them his name, and they'll be scared to death. But you can't do that yet. I see. Pin Liang nodded. Yushu was right. It was the truth. Lin Yi's name was like a tree's shadow, and Lin Yi's name was definitely famous. Even the practitioners who participated in the Ice Palace's trial would be scared when they heard Lin Yi's name. Of course, this was what Zhang Naipeo told him. Zhang Naipeo's setback forced him to take Lin Yi seriously. He needed to train hard and defeat Lin Yi the next time they met. Jiang Wen, Zhao Qibing. These two names made Pin Liang feel a little guilty. He was very strong now, but Jiang Wen and Zhao Qibing weren't pushovers either. Their individual strength wasn't good enough, but they had gangs and families backing them up. The Fire Wolves had many masters, and the Hidden House Xiao had a sky class as well. Pin Liang didn't dare to go after them, but he wanted to prove how strong he was, so he had to think of a way. All right, I'll go back and think about how I can prove my bravery. I'll be heading back first. Shu, please put in a good word for me in front of Yao. Pin Liang said. No problem. Yushu nodded and waved her hand to send Pin Liang off. When he was far away, Yushu put an earphone in her ear. Can we really find out what they're after? Mingyao sighed. She couldn't figure out why Pin Liang had become so strong. It should be possible. They're discussing how to prove Pin Liang's strength right now. Yushu said. Indeed, Pin Liang and Xiaofu were discussing how to prove their strength. Liang bro, why don't you go beat up Zhao Qibing and Jiang Wen again? Xiaofu said. Isn't that the simplest way? Idiot. Jiang Wen kicked Xiaofu's foot. Why are you still so retarded? So impulsive? Can't you learn from me and think before you act? Qibing and Jiang Wen aren't that easy to beat up. That Zhao Qibing, no matter how strong he is, he can't be above sky class, can he? At most, he's an earth class master. What's there to be afraid of? Gao Xiaofu said. As for that and Jiang Wen, he was more like an ordinary person, right? Brother Liang has the golden cicada undergarment. As long as the opponent is not a heaven stage expert, Brother Liang can definitely win, right? You idiot, behind Zhao Qibing is the Hidden House Xiao. They have a sky class master. Of course, I'll beat him up and reveal my identity as a disciple of the everyday and everyday sect. The Hidden Zhao family definitely won't dare to do anything to me. The most important thing was Jiangwen. Although he is an ordinary person, do you know that the Fire Wolf gang is filled with experts? They're not weaker than the everyday and everyday sect. Pin Liang glared at Xiaofu. You think I don't want to touch Jiangwen? One of my kidneys was cut off by him. If possible, I'd send him to heaven first, but no, they're not afraid of us. Then we'll start with Xiao Qibing. Xiaofu said. That's the only way. Pin Liang nodded. Let's beat up that Xiao Qibing first. We'll think of something else. All right, we'll go find Xiao Qibing later. Xiaofu nodded. Later my ass. Are you stupid? Beating up Xiao Qibing at House Xiao is suicide. Pin Liang raged. Either we hide our identity and get beaten up by that sky class master, old Xiao, or we reveal our identity. But we definitely won't be able to fight. Then what do we do? Xiaofu asked carefully. He realized that his IQ wasn't enough anymore. It seemed like Liang Bro really wasn't the Liang Bro he used to be. He was much more intelligent now. In fact, a person would definitely grow after going through big ups and downs. It was just that Pin Liang's comprehension was stronger. Let's go find Right Coiling Tiger. That guy definitely knows Xiao Qibing. Let him make a call. Ask Xiao Qibing out. He knows who we are. He wouldn't dare disobey us. Pin Liang said, Ah, that works. Xiaofu thought about it and realized that Liang Bro was smart. And so the two went back to find Right Coiling Tiger. Right Coiling Tiger had just woken up, and although he didn't need to go to the hospital after taking the elixir, he was still heavily injured and could only rest in his seat. The three of them were very depressed. They didn't even know Meng Yao and Yushu, and they were beaten up for no reason. This guy was a disciple of the everyday and everyday sect too. It was impossible for them to take revenge. Even the people from the Sky Elixir sect had to avoid the people from the everyday and everyday sect. There was no other reason other than that these people were too evil. Just like that Pin Liang from before. He didn't seem to have much attack power, and his combat ability was very low, but he was very resistant. There was also a clear difference between him and the disciples of the Golden Bell sect. He didn't have any strength at all, unlike the physical practitioners. That wasn't all. The iron rod in his hand was even weirder. The seemingly ordinary iron rod was able to pierce through the chi protection. It was a little strange. How unlucky. I thought that Lin Yi would be gone for a few days. And then this Zhong Pin Liang came out of nowhere. F***CK. Right Coiling Tiger was furious. Right Master. Did this guy hit the wrong person? We didn't bully Meng Yao at all, but you got smashed in the head by that big tits girl next to Meng Yao. This is too unfair. Yellow Hair said angrily, What can we do about it? Right Coiling Tiger said helplessly, We can't just take revenge, can we? Let's not talk about whether we can beat him or not. Even if we can, do you think his background is weak? He's from the everyday and everyday sect. Luckily, he didn't want our lives, so we'll let this pass. We'll be more careful in the future, and don't mess with him. We'll treat him the same way we treated Lin Yi. Purple Hair suggested after some thought. Yes, I think that'll work. Right Coiling Tiger nodded and agreed. Right Coiling Tiger, are you dead or not? If you're not, come out. Pin Liang's voice came from the classroom door again. Oh my God, why is he back again? Right Coiling Tiger was shocked when he heard the voice, almost crying. To be continued. For the latest chapters, please log in. Reading is a pleasure. I recommend you bookmark it. For more full-text novels, download. Chapter 2492. However, Pin Liang brought Xiaofu into the classroom as he spoke, still holding his steel rod in his hand. You Coiling Tiger hurriedly lay on the table and pretended to be dead. Previously, he had wasted a small rejuvenation pill to heal his injuries. If he were to be beaten again, not only would he be in pain, but he would also lose his small rejuvenation pill. He couldn't possibly carry a bunch of small rejuvenation pills with him every day, right? Hey, don't play dead. Pin Liang smashed the steel rod on the corner of You Coiling Tiger's table. Ah, I'm dead. You Coiling Tiger said. Motherfucker, you're lying to me, right? You think I'm easy to bully? If it was Lin Yi, would you dare lie to me like that? Pin Liang raged. Fine, I'm alive again. You Coiling Tiger jumped and sat up, his face bitter. Liang bro, why are you here again? Didn't you teach us a lesson? We know we won't mess with Meng Yao anymore, okay? That's not it. Pin Liang waved his hand. Do you know Xiao Qibing? Xiao Qibing? I do. Why are you asking about him? You Coiling Tiger paused. Good, Pin Liang said. Call him now and ask him out. I don't care what reason you have. I want to see him before school ends today. Ask him out. Liang bro, You Coiling Tiger let out a breath of relief when he heard that Pin Liang wasn't here to beat him up, but at the same time, he was confused. Why was he looking for Xiao Qibing? Oh, I'm going to beat him up, but don't tell him. If he runs away, I'll have to beat you up, Pin Liang said. I see. That's easy. You Coiling Tiger nodded, thinking that it was fine as long as it had nothing to do with him. As for Xiao Qibing, he didn't care if he lived or died. The relationship between the Hidden House Xiao and the Hidden House, you wasn't that good anyways. You Coiling Tiger sold Xiao Qibing out. All right, call me when he's here. Here's my number. Pin Liang was very happy to see Right Panhu's cooperation. He left his number and left with Xiaofu. Got it. Liang bro. Panhu, Right wrote down Pin Liang's number, wondering if this guy was Lin Yi's enemy. If it was Lin Yi's enemy, then he could sit on the mountain and reap the spoils. But it seemed that this guy's goal was similar to Lin Yi's. Lin Yi's enemy was Pin Liang's enemy. Yu Panhu gave Xiao Qibing a call. The reason was simple. There was someone in school who wanted to see him, and it was someone who was very likely to come. Xiao Qibing was fighting for the position of the young head of the Hidden House Xiao, and when he heard that Panhu Right had a very powerful friend who wanted to see him, he happily drove to Donghai Industry University. Panhu Right, on the other hand, called Pin Liang and told him to wait for Xiao Qibing at the parking lot in front of the school. Not long after, Xiao Qibing drove his new Porsche Cayenne to Donghai Industry University. He parked the car in the parking lot and was about to call Tiger, right when someone knocked on the car door. What? Xiao Qibing rolled down the window and asked Pin Liang angrily, Who the hell are you? Fuck. Xiao Qibing, don't you recognize me? Pin Liang smashed his rod down on the front of Xiao Qibing's car, forming a dent. You're Zhong Pingliang? Xiao Qibing looked at Zhong Pingliang and froze. He recognized him. Zhong Fabai used to be Xiao Qibing's underling. How could Xiao Qibing not recognize Pin Liang? But he didn't understand why Pin Liang would call himself your father in front of him. Did this kid want to die? Very well, you still recognize me. Pin Liang reached out and grabbed Xiao Qibing's collar. Get out of the car. Fuck, you used to order me and my dad around like dogs, offending Lin Yi, and I almost died. You, on the other hand, just left like that. Are you crazy? How dare you insult me? Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am now? Xiao Qibing raged. How could he tolerate his underling ordering him around? He pushed the door open and got out of the car. I do. Aren't you Xiao Qibing from the Hidden House, Xiao? You're the one I'm hitting. Pin Liang's rod smashed into Qibing's head, making him lose his bearings. You dare hit me? Xiao Qibing was shocked and angry, but Pin Liang's rod came smashing at him again. Xiao Qibing didn't dare to be careless. He quickly channeled his practitioner's arts and used his pure qi to protect his body. Then he kicked at Pin Liang, but Pin Liang didn't dodge or dodge. He let Xiao Qibing kick him, but the rod in his hand kept smashing into Xiao Qibing's body. Xiao Qibing kicked Pin Liang twice before realizing that his pure qi protection was useless. Pin Liang's rod was still coming at him, and he was still hurting. Was the pure chi protection useless? Or did Pin Liang have the ability to break through it? Zhao Qibing was shocked at the thought. He quickly used his hands to protect his head so that he wouldn't bleed. Then, he kicked at Pin Liang with both legs. Fuck, your legs are pretty strong, aren't they? I'll let you kick me. Pin Liang saw that Zhao Qibing used his hands to protect his head and swung his rod, hitting Zhao Qibing's right leg. Ouch! Zhao Qibing cried out in pain. His leg was his weakest part, and although Pin Liang's rod didn't break it, it was still painful enough to make him grimace. I'll let you kick me. I'll let you kick me. I'll let you kick me. I'll let you kick me, Pin Liang said as he swung the steel rod at Qibing's legs. In an instant, Qibing's good leg was crippled, and he fell to the ground on his, but Pin Liang didn't seem to be satisfied yet. He swung the rod at Zhao Qibing's other leg, and with a series of smashes, Zhao Qibing's left leg was broken as well. The tragic Zhao Qibing could only lie on the ground and twitch. You, Zhong Pin Liang, I'll remember you. The hidden house, Zhao, won't let you go. Zhao Qibing didn't know how Pin Liang became so strong, but he couldn't help but threaten him. Oh, whatever. I'm not afraid to tell you that I'm the head of the everyday sect, Pure Yang Sky Master. If you want to go against the everyday sect, go ahead. I don't mind letting my master kill you all, Pin Liang said calmly. Wah! Zhao Qibing was dumbfounded by Pin Liang's words. Chapter 2493. It was so cool to watch without ads. He had never expected Pin Liang to be from the ancient sect, the everyday sect. No wonder he was so strong. He had a master. Not to mention the ancient sects, just Lin Yi alone was enough to render the hidden house Zhao helpless. The hidden house Zhao definitely didn't dare to provoke the ancient sects, so Zhao Qibing stopped moving. It seemed like he had broken his leg for nothing again. I say, Zhao Qibing, do you still want revenge? Pin Liang was overjoyed when he saw Zhao Qibing's dispirited expression the moment he heard the name of the everyday sect. The sect's name was indeed resounding. Pin Liang, even if you want me to die, you should at least know the reason. Although you used to be my underling, I treated you well, didn't I? Why did you hit me like this? Qibing didn't think about revenge anymore. He just wanted to know what was going on. It's nothing. Actually, my goddess told me to hit you. You didn't mess with me, but you mess with my goddess. Pin Liang said. Your goddess? Who is it? Qibing paused before remembering Pin Liang's crush. Chu Mengyao. That's right, Chu Mengyao. Pin Liang nodded. You're in cahoots with Lin Yi? Qibing jumped in fright at Pin Liang's admission. Of course not. I'm trying to steal his position. Pin Liang said. Right, let me ask you, what's Lin Yi's strength now? Strength? Earth class mid-phase or peak mid-phase. Qibing said. Why are you asking? You can beat Lin Yi? Earth class. Huh? That's not a problem. I'll get him. Pin Liang nodded in relief. All right, Zhao Qibing, I'm done with you. You can leave now. Since you used to be my boss, I won't knock you out. I'll let you leave awake. Pin Liang nodded after hearing that. Qibing was about to say that he was looking for someone when he thought of something. You didn't ask Yupana to call me, did you? That's me. Zhong Pin Liang nodded. What the F*** CK? Right coiling tiger is too much. How dare he trick me? Qibing was pissed. Oh, I beat him up too. Pin Liang said nonchalantly, he's worse off than you, he's unconscious. I see. Qibing felt much better after hearing that. He took out his phone and called the hidden house Zhao, asking them to pick him up. I'm going. It's time for me to report to my goddess, Pin Liang said as he walked towards the economics building with Xiaofu in tow, his staff in hand. Yushu, on the other hand, had heard everything clearly and told Meng Yao everything that had happened. You're saying that Zhong Pin Liang joined the everyday sect and became their leader? Meng Yao was shocked. And he got his hands on the golden cicada underwear as well. Is it because of this underwear that he can take a beating? That should be the case. Yushu nodded. That underwear, didn't Linny give us one too? Meng Yao remembered the low-class golden cicada underwear that Lin Yi won at the Hidden House Summit. But ours isn't as high class as Zhongping Liang's. Yeah, the underwear that Shield Bro 1 can only defend against Earth class and below. It's useless against Earth class. And above. Yushu nodded. Lin Yi had wanted to wash the underwear and give it to Meng Yao or Yushu for protection, but Chun Tian could take care of anyone below Earth class, so the golden cicada underwear was useless. He'd left it at home and never used it, so that's how Zhongping Liang got so strong. He's just a cockroach that can't be killed. He doesn't have any real skills. Meng Yao said, but that iron rod of his seems to be a little mysterious. Masters like Zhao Qibing and Right Coiling Tiger have chi protection, but Zhongping Liang can still fight. Yeah, this guy has quite a lot of treasures on him. Yushu's eyes rolled around as she started thinking about Pin Liang's treasures. Shu, you're not thinking about taking his stuff for yourself, are you? Meng Yao knew Shu's expression all too well. One look, and you could tell that she was after Pin Liang's stuff. Ha 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 ha. Yushu laughed evilly. This is good stuff. So, what if it's good stuff? You can't just take it from Pin Liang's body, can you? Meng Yao said helplessly. That's true, but we can think of something. Yushu said, no matter what, let's tell Lin Yi about what happened here so he can prepare himself. Let's see if he can think of a way to deal with Pin Liang. Meng Yao said, yeah, that's a good idea. But wait, Pin Liang's here again, Yushu said. As expected, not long after, Pin Liang appeared in front of Meng Yao and Yushu's classroom. Compared to how arrogant he was when he went to Coiling Tiger Right, Pin Liang was much more well-behaved in front of Meng Yao's classroom. The steel rod in his hand was disguised as a baseball bat, and it wasn't that eye-catching when he carried it on his shoulder. Pin Liang walked up to Meng Yao and Yushu with a smile on his face. Yao Yao, Shu, I've beaten up that Zhao Qibing. Is there anything else I can do for you? I heard you only broke Zhao Qibing's legs, didn't knock him out? You seem to have gone easy on him. Is there something going on between you? Yushu asked. Pin Liang paused. He didn't think that the news would spread so fast. Yushu knew about it right after he beat up Zhao Qibing. Did she have eyes and ears nearby? But when he thought about it, it made sense that Lin Yi would arrange bodyguards around Meng Yao and Yushu. With that thought, Pin Liang started to put up his guard. He wasn't afraid of being ambushed, but the feeling of being watched was very uncomfortable. That's not it, Pin Liang quickly explained. Actually, I heard that Lin Yi likes to break Zhao Qibing's legs, right? That's why I copied Lin Yi. That won't do. If you copy Shield Bro, we only need Shield Bro. Why would we need a fake version like you? Yushu said with a wave of her hand. Liang Yi, your next step is to surpass Shield Bro in all aspects. For the latest chapters, please log in. It's a pleasure to read. I recommend you bookmark it. For more full-text novels, download. Chapter 2494. It felt so good to watch it without ads. Well, of course, Pin Liang quickly nodded. Shu, what do you think I should do next? Next? I haven't thought of what to do yet. Just wait. Yushu said, I'll let you know when I'm done. I see. Then when can I become Yao Yao's bodyguard? Pin Liang asked impatiently. I say, Liang Yi, haven't you heard of this saying? Haste makes waste. Do you know how long Shield Bro had been with Yao Yao for Yao Yao to accept him? Yushu humphed. Didn't you see how much Yao Yao begged Shield Bro at the beginning? She even used you to teach him a lesson in school. Yeah. Pin Liang remembered what had happened back in school. That was indeed the case. Back when he, Nai Peo, and Gao Xiaofu were causing trouble for Lin Yi, Meng Yao and Yushu had been very excited about it. That meant that Meng Yao had taken a long time to accept Lin Yi as her bodyguard, and that meant that replacing Lin Yi's position wasn't something that could be achieved in 1 or 2 days. So, Liang Yi, you should be grateful that I didn't encourage Yao Yao to get people to hurt you. It's good enough that I didn't stop you. If you're so impatient, I won't help you anymore. Yu Shu threatened. Don't. Please don't. Pin Liang was really scared. Shu, sis, you know me. I've always listened to you. It's always been like this. And it's still the same now. Look, you told me to buy spicy skewers, and I did. I'm always listening to you. Yeah, so I'll try my best. But you need to be strong yourself. Go back and wait for my news. I'll let you know when I think of the next mission, Yu Shu said. All right, I'll leave first, Shu sis. Pin Liang nodded to Yu Shu respectfully before leaving with Gao Xiaofu. Lin Yi listened to Meng Yao's story and felt a headache coming on. Pin Liang had gotten a golden cicada undergarment from the an everyday sect. Moreover, it seems to be a high-grade item that can resist the attacks of powerhouses under the heaven rank. Isn't this a bit too amazing? Not only that, he also had an iron rod that could break through the protection of Jinqi. Wasn't this a legendary divine weapon? Pin Liang had gained quite a lot from this. It seemed like the everyday sect really valued him, or rather, valued Zhang Naipeo. For Naipeo's sake, had Naipeo recovered? Lin Yi hadn't heard from Naipeo in a long time. He'd crippled him last time. Could it be that he'd recovered after going back and was able to continue? With that thought, Lin Yi's face turned solemn. It seemed like he couldn't underestimate the everyday sect. They were an ancient sect after all, able to recover from wounds like Naipeo's. Of course, this was all Lin Yi guessed from Pin Liang's situation. If Naipeo wasn't fine and able to continue, then he'd be useless. The everyday sect wouldn't care about Naipeo at all. Zhang Naipeo's the strong now. Lin Yi took a deep breath. He didn't say it, but he was worried. Would he be able to deal with him? Although he was currently in the Earth stage, he could activate a martial skill equivalent to a Heaven stage expert. Yeah, Lin Yi, do you have a way to beat him? Meng Yao asked. Yu Shu could deal with Pin Liang for a while, but it wouldn't be for long. Once Pin Liang came, Lin Yi would have to deal with him. Hard to say. Lin Yi frowned. I don't know much about the golden cicada underwear. I'll ask Han Xiaopa later. But don't provoke him for now, just let Shu deal with him. We'll talk about it when I get back. All right, I understand. Shu can still stall for some time. It's not too urgent, don't worry too much. Meng Yao comforted. Yeah, I know. I'll think of something. Lin Yi said. All right, I won't disturb you anymore. You, be careful. Meng Yao said. Haha, okay. Lin Yi hung up the phone with a smile. The miss still couldn't let go of herself in front of him. She was more concerned about him now, but Lin Yi still felt like something was missing. Was it? It seemed like that was the case. The two were a little too polite, but it was nothing. Lin Yi turned around and left the room. He had two things to do. One was to trade the ice crystal for the Earth Element Sky class blood from the Sky class, and the other was to find Han Xiaopa to research the golden cicada underwear. He came to Han Xiaopa's room and knocked on the door. Boss. Han Xiaopa saw Lin Yi through the peephole and quickly opened the door. He didn't expect Lin Yi to find him so soon. As far as he was concerned, Lin Yi had to deal with Yang Qiqi first, then Xiaoka. The night would be gone by then. He walked into Han Xiaopa's room, and Han Xiaopa closed the door behind him. Boss, did you take care of things on your side? Ha, it's done. Lin Yi smiled. I have something to ask you. Boss, don't say that. Just say it. I'll tell you everything I know. Han Xiaopa quickly said. It's about the golden cicada underwear. Do you know about this thing? Lin Yi asked. I do. Didn't you win one at the Hidden House Summit? Han Xiaopa nodded. I did, but it's a low-tier golden cicada underwear. It can only defend against attacks from those below Earth class. Lin Yi nodded. do you know what golden cicada underwear is? It can defend against attacks from those below sky class. Oh, boss, you're talking about mid-tier golden cicada underwear? Mid-tier golden cicada underwear can defend against attacks from those below sky class. Han Xiaopa said, but this thing is a treasure. Only those powerful blacksmiths and sky-class golden cicada spirit beasts could make it. Mid-tier golden cicada underwear. Linny nodded. Then there's also a high-tier one. The legends say that if you wear it, you'll be invincible under the heavenly Tao. Of course, that's just a legend. Whether or not it really exists and who has it, I've never heard of it. Han Xiaopa smiled bitterly. After all, this thing is too heaven-defying. If it were to appear in the world, there would be a bloodbath for it. Oh, that's true. Lin Yi took in a cold breath. To be continued. For the latest chapters, please log in. Reading is a pleasure. I recommend you bookmark it. For more full-text novels, download. Chapter 2495. If there really was such a thing, then wouldn't it be invincible? Only the legendary elites in the Tao of Heaven could hurt the person wearing the high-grade golden cicada undergarment. Boss, why are you suddenly asking this? Han Xiaopa asked curiously. Did someone bring out this treasure to trade in this trade fair? No, I didn't. One of my old enemies joined the Everyday sect as a disciple and got a mid-level golden cicada undergarment. I don't know how to deal with him. Lin Yi didn't hide anything from Han Xiaopa. Oh, that's not good. Han Xiaopa thought about it but couldn't think of anything. He shook his head. I've only heard of it. I've never seen it before. The hidden house Han doesn't have any records of it either. Yeah, I'll think of something myself. Linny nodded. If it comes down to it, I'll have to ask Old Pai to do it. If Linny really couldn't beat Pinliang, he'd have to ask Old Pai to intimidate him. Lin Yi didn't have any other ideas right now. That's good. Sky class masters are actually the best counter to mid-tier golden cicada underwear, Han Xiaopa said. One more thing. How do we find the practitioners who set up their stalls during the day? Lin Yi asked. Practitioners who set up their stalls during the day? What do you want to trade, boss? Han Xiaopa asked. The blood of the earth element sky, class spirit beast. Lin Yi said. You should remember, the cool girl in the black leather shirt and pants asked about that thing. Oh, it's that thing. Han Xiaopa nodded. We'll have to go to the reception downstairs to check. Some traders will register the items they want to trade when they register their room number. This is also to hide the trade. Some practitioners who aren't strong enough don't want to trade in public because they're afraid of being targeted. Then let's go take a look, Lin Yi said. Okay, but he might not register it. Han Xiaopa said as he left the room with Lin Yi. Well, let's wait and see. Lin Yi was just trying. If it didn't work out, he would think about it tomorrow. The two went downstairs together. When they arrived at the reception desk on the first floor, Han Xiaopa asked, Hello, I would like to ask if there are any customers registered to trade for the blood of an Earth Attribute Heaven rank spirit beast. Sir, please wait a moment. Let me check for you, the waiter said. All right. Han Xiaopa nodded. The waiter skillfully searched for the information of the transaction item that Han Xiaopa had mentioned, and then said, Yes, there is indeed this information on the registration level. Can we trade with him? Han Xiaopa asked. Wait a moment. Let me ask. With that said, the waiter dialed an internal number. After getting a positive response from the other side, he said to Han Xiaopa, Yes, but please show me your room card information first. I have to make a registration. Han Xiaopa and Lin Yi took out their room cards and handed them to the attendant. The purpose of this was to ensure the safety of the transaction process. If there was any dispute, they could still find each other. After the attendant registered, he said to Han Xiaopa, The trader is waiting for you in room 4109. Please take the elevator this way. Thank you. Han Xiaopa and Lin Yi took back their room cards, and then the two of them took the elevator and went upstairs. The two of them stopped in front of room 4109. Lin Yi knocked on the door. The voice of the heaven rank cultivator that they had met during the day came out. Please come in. Lin Yi and Han Xiaopa pushed the door open and entered. It seemed that the heaven rank cultivator had already made preparations to welcome the guests. There was a tea set on the coffee table, and hot water was also prepared. Please take a seat. Do you want to trade the blood of an earth attribute heaven rank spirit beast? The heaven rank cultivator pointed to the sofa at the side and went straight to the point. He was a heaven rank expert, so he was naturally not afraid of Lin Yi and Han Xiaopa. There were only a few heaven rank experts that came to this trade fair, and he knew all of them. Yes. Lin Yi nodded and sat on the sofa with Han Xiaopa. Please have some tea. The heaven rank cultivator pointed to the tea set on the coffee table, not intending to pour tea for Lin Yi and Han Xiaopa himself. But it was no wonder. He was a heaven rank cultivator, so it was normal for him to have a high and mighty attitude. Since the two of you are here, I'm sure you know my rules. I only want to trade for something from a water attribute, heaven rank spirit beast. The heaven rank cultivator didn't come out. Lin Yi and Han Xiaopa were the ones that followed Yang Qiqi during the day. He had been focusing on Yang Qiqi during the day, so he didn't have much of an impression of Lin Yi and Han Xiaopa. After all, there were a lot of practitioners that looked at his stuff. He couldn't remember them all. He only had some impression of Yang Qiqi, who wanted to trade. That's right. Lin Yi nodded again. But you're using the blood of an earth attribute heaven rank spirit beast to trade for something from a water attribute heaven rank spirit beast. It looks like a fair trade, but you're the one asking for a favor. Shouldn't you pay more? Haha, since you're here to trade, then the blood of an earth attribute heaven rank spirit beast should be useful to you as well, right? How could you say I'm asking for a favor? The heaven rank cultivator wasn't stupid. He smiled and said directly, I won't hide it from you. I'm only an earth class mid-phase peak, and my friend is only an earth class early phase. One of us is a fire element, and the other is a wood element. Lin Yi said as he used the first form of Frenzy Fist to prove his words. Han Xiaopa naturally used a wood element to prove Lin Yi's words. The heaven rank cultivator looked at the arts and strength of Lin Yi and Han Xiaopa and went silent. Lin Yi was right. The blood of an earth attribute heaven rank spirit beast wasn't that useful to them. To tell you the truth, I'm actually an opportunist. Lin Yi said, I have something from a water attribute heaven rank spirit beast, but I don't need it. I'm here to trade with you because I want to get more benefits. What? You really have it? The heaven rank cultivator suddenly stood up and looked at Lin Yi in surprise. He had been looking for something from a water attribute heaven rank spirit beast for many years. Suddenly hearing that Lin Yi had something like that, he was naturally overjoyed. I came here and said all this, so of course I have it. Lin Yi smiled. So that's how it is. The heaven rank cultivator slowly nodded. Since you've made it very clear that you want more benefits, I won't bargain with you. Can I take a look at your goods first? As long as it's what I need, everything's negotiable. To be continued. Chapter 2496. Of course, that's not a problem. Lin Yi reached into his pocket and took out the small bottle containing the ice crystal turtle saliva. He handed it to the heaven tier cultivator and said, It's here. The heaven tier cultivator took a deep breath and carefully took the small bottle from Lin Yi's hand. He opened it and was immediately overjoyed. That's right. He could feel the powerful water attribute energy contained in the small bottle. This was what he had been dreaming of. He was so excited that his hands were trembling. I finally found it. With it, I can modify the attributes of divine weapons. Resisting the urge to snatch it, the Heaven Tier cultivator carefully capped the bottle and placed it on the tea table. He said, "Since you have raised your conditions, I will tell you the truth. My things are all here. You can take any one of them, including the blood of the earth attribute, heaven-rank spiritual beast." With that, the Heaven Tier cultivator opened a bag and placed it in front of Lin Yi. The small bottle containing the blood of the earth attribute, heaven-rank spiritual beast, was also inside. It wasn't that the Heaven Tier cultivator didn't want to snatch Lin Yi's things. It was because the purpose of the cultivator market was to ensure fairness and justice in transactions. If there was a problem, then the Cultivator Trade Association would definitely pursue the matter. Although he was a Heaven Tier cultivator, there were even more powerful Heaven Tier cultivators in the Cultivator Trade Association. Moreover, the thing he had been looking for so many years had appeared. He didn't want to complicate matters. Anyway, the blood of the earth attribute, heaven-rank spiritual beast, was of little value to him. In fact, even if he wanted to snatch it, Lin Yi wasn't afraid of him. Since Lin Yi dared to come, he naturally had the confidence to escape unscathed. Spiritual beast core? Lin Yi looked at the Heaven Tier cultivator's bag in surprise. A round bead said in surprise, "Oh, you want this thing?" The Heaven Tier cultivator looked at Lin Yi in surprise and said, "This is the core of that earth attribute, heaven-rank spiritual beast. When I found it, it had just been killed by an enemy spirit beast, so I collected a bottle of its blood and retrieved its inner core." "Then you only took one bottle of blood? What about the other things?" Lin Yi asked with some pity. "When it was killed by the spirit beast, its blood had almost dried up. It took me a lot of effort to collect a small bottle." The Heaven Stage cultivator looked at Lin Yi and smiled bitterly. "Otherwise, do you think I wouldn't bring more back? Moreover, there's nothing special on it." "I see." Lin Yi nodded and said, "Then I want this beast core and that bottle of earth attribute, heaven-rank spiritual beast blood." "All right, deal." The Heaven Stage cultivator readily agreed. This inner core was also useless to him. "All right." Lin Yi picked up the small bottle and the inner core. He stood up with Han Xiaopa and said, "Since the deal is done, we'll be leaving. I won't see you out." The heaven-rank cultivator nodded, and then impatiently picked up the bottle of turtle spit ice crystals that Lin Yi had given him and impatiently studied it. Lin Yi smiled. He left the room with Han Xiaopa and walked towards their own room. "Boss, you brought this back for that cool girl?" Han Xiaopa was a little surprised at Lin Yi's actions. He didn't know why. "Yeah." Lin Yi nodded. "She wants this. It's for treating someone." And at this point, Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. Yang Chi-Chi wanted to treat Little Nine. Little Nine? Lin Yi thought of someone. Could it be her? Hacker Princess? He remembered Yang Chi-Chi's identity. She was an assassin from Butterfly Castle. The Hacker Princess was also from Butterfly Castle, and her nickname was Little Nine. She was also sick. Could it be that Yang Chi-Chi was really looking for something to treat her? At this point, Lin Yi felt that this was very likely. Otherwise, it would be too much of a coincidence. If that was the case, then he wouldn't just be helping Yang Chi-Chi, but his old friend. The thought of the Hacker Princess gave Lin Yi a headache. He hadn't contacted her in a long time. Would she be angry if he did? After some thought, Lin Yi gave up on the idea of calling her to get to the bottom of things. Whether it was her or not, Lin Yi only had one more reason to help Yang Chi-Chi. "I see, but boss, you're just too kind. Just because of this, you're giving the blood of an Earth Element Sky class to that cool girl." Han Xiaopa said, "Sincerely." "You brat, you're just taking advantage of me. I help you level up, but can't I give something to someone else?" Lin Yi smiled. "Haha, of course not." Han Xiaopa was a little embarrassed. "Let's go get some rest. There's probably nothing much to do today." Lin Yi said. It was a quiet night. And the next morning, Lin Yi saw Han Xiaopa and Xiaoka dressed neatly in front of his room. There was also a very tired Yang Qiqi, her eyes a little red. Evidently, Qiqi hadn't slept well last night. Before Lin Yi left the room, Qiqi had been glaring at Xiaoka. If looks could kill, Xiaoka would be dead already. Xiaoka, however, didn't even look at Qiqi. She sympathized with her, but Xiaoka wasn't a magnanimous person. This girl wanted to steal something from Lin Yi, and what right did she have? And so, Xiaoka didn't even look at her. Qiqi's glare was useless. Qiqi couldn't find a way to vent her frustration. All she could do was glare at Lin Yi, but Lin Yi didn't seem to care. He nodded to Han Xiaopa. What time does the auction start? 9. Let's go get something to eat now. Han Xiaopa asked. Okay, Lin Yi said. Qiqi didn't know that Lin Yi had let her steal the blue crystal on purpose, and thought that she'd been exposed. Lin Yi didn't say anything, but Qiqi knew that the chances were slim. She didn't even know why she followed Lin Yi around. Was it because she wanted to steal the blue crystal again? Or was it because she wanted to kill Lin Yi for humiliating her? Qiqi felt like her brain was a mess. She was like a walking corpse as she followed Lin Yi to the restaurant. Lin Yi ordered 4 servings of breakfast, and Qiqi sat there, not refusing any. She ate her portion, but didn't say anything. Han Xiaopa didn't say anything either. He knew that Lin Yi had gotten back what Qiqi needed, but if Lin Yi didn't say anything, Han Xiaopa wouldn't say anything. He thought that Lin Yi wanted to teach Qiqi a lesson. Actually, Lin Yi really didn't want to teach Qiqi a lesson, but with Xiaoka here, Lin Yi didn't want to treat Qiqi too well. Chapter 2497. The surprise came from Xiaoka was interested in the male thief, and if he cared too much about Yang Qiqi, Xiaoka might get hurt. See //. And so, Lin Yi was going to return the item to Yang Qiqi when there was no one around. After the 4 of them finished their breakfast, they walked towards the auction venue. There weren't many people entering the auction venue, only about 100 or so people. It seemed like many of the people who had participated in the market square didn't come to the auction. These people were still keen on setting up stalls to trade for goods. The items for auction were all written on the notice board outside the venue. Of course, there were some people who didn't want to attend the auction because there wasn't anything they wanted. At this moment, Lin Yi, Han Xiaopa, and the others were standing in front of the notice board, looking at the items being auctioned. There was no doubt that there would be a large number of elixirs for sale in this auction. Some of them were provided by Lin Yi, and the rest should be provided by the Hidden House of You. The number was about the same as what Lin Yi provided, but there were some additional level 1 and 2 elixirs for other purposes. Lin Yi skimmed through the names of the pills, his eyes finally stopping on pure topaz. There really was pure topaz being sold at this auction. It seemed like Han Xiaopa's information was true. In actuality, the Cultivator Trade Association would always leak some information about what was going to be auctioned, so it wasn't a big deal for Han Xiaopa to know about it beforehand. Lin Yi and the others entered the auction venue and found an empty seat. Han Xiaopa was just about to sit next to Lin when he realized that Xiaoka was already sitting next to Lin Yi, and Yang Qiqi was about to sit on the other side. Han Xiaopa smiled bitterly and sat next to Yang Qiqi. It was around 8:50, and most of the people had arrived. The vice chairman of Heaven Class that Lin Yi had met at the entrance walked up to the stage with the pawnbroker. The Heaven Rank Vice leader sat on the side, while the pawnbroker stood beside the Heaven Rank Vice leader. He picked up the microphone and said to the cultivators participating in the auction, "Welcome everyone to the auction organized by the Cultivator Trade Association. I'm Lu Xiansheng, known as Mr. Lu in the pugilistic world. I'm also the auctioneer for this auction." Obviously, the people below the stage were not surprised that Lu Xiansheng was on the stage as the auctioneer. It could be seen that he was the one who presided over the previous auctions. Although it was Lin Yi's first time participating, he had met him when he sent the pills to be auctioned previously, so there was nothing strange about it. All right, since no one has any objections, let's begin the auction, Lu Xianxing said. According to the previous rules, the first item to be auctioned is the elixir from the Hidden Yu family. This is also the item that occupies a large proportion of the auction every time. However, today's elixirs did not completely come from the Hidden Right family. There's also another seller who put up some pills for auction. Wow. Lu Xianxing's words caused an uproar. Everyone was shocked. Which sect or family had the ability to provide elixirs to the Cultivator Trade Association? Could it be the Heavenly Elixir sect? However, although the Heavenly Elixir sect also provided elixirs to the Cultivator Trade Association, they only provided some high-grade elixirs. Moreover, the number of elixirs they provided was scarce. They would not auction them in such a low-level market. Instead, they would auction them in other large-scale cultivator auctions. This low-end elixir business had always been monopolized by the Hidden Yu family. Even if the Heavenly Elixir sect refined these low-end elixirs, they would hand them over to the Hidden Yu family to auction. As for the other sects and families, they had never heard of anyone who could refine a large number of elixirs. Below the stage, a young man raised his eyebrows and looked at Lu Xianxing unhappily. This person was from the Hidden Right family. He was also the young man who had been arrogant and despotic at the entrance of the cultivator's market to clear the way for the Heaven Stage expert, who was a short robber. However, everyone doesn't have to be surprised. According to my appraisal, the elixirs provided by the other seller are not inferior to the elixirs provided by the Hidden Yu family in terms of quality and purity. They are even more balanced. There is no difference in quality between each elixir. Lu Xianxing threw out another bombshell. What? The cultivators below the stage exclaimed after hearing it. As everyone knew, although the Hidden Yu family was an alchemy family, and many Earth-level elixirs were provided to them by the Heavenly Elixir sect, not to mention that these elixirs were refined by different alchemy masters. Even the same alchemy master couldn't guarantee the same quality every time he refined the elixir. Maybe if the condition was good, the quality of the elixir would be excellent. If the condition was bad, the quality of the elixir would be worse. Forming the elixir was the most basic requirement. However, after forming the elixir, the purity and quality were still different. However, every auction was a mixed auction. It was impossible to let the auctioneer pick the good and the bad. It could only be determined by luck. But now, Lu Xianxing said that there was no difference in quality between the elixirs provided by the new seller. What kind of concept was this? How amazing was the alchemy master to be able to do this? Perhaps even the elder of the Heavenly Elixir sect couldn't do it, right? Other than the famous elder of the Xiantian sect, perhaps only the medical saint Zhang Liju could do it. Now, there was actually someone who could refine elixirs of the same quality. Everyone, don't be in a hurry to be shocked. I still have something to add, and that is, every single one of these pills is of the highest quality. You don't have to try your luck or gamble on your luck. You can directly buy them and bring them home. It was undeniable that Lu Xianxing's words were very provocative. It made many people's hearts stir after hearing it. However, the young man from the Hidden Yu family's face was even uglier. In the past, the Hidden Yu family was the backbone of every auction. Seeing their elixirs being bought by cultivators at high prices, the Hidden Yu family was very happy. But this time, there was an accident, and it was when the young man and his granddaughter were in charge. Naturally, he was very unhappy. They are all of the highest quality. Heh, even if the price is higher, it's fine. A cultivator sitting below the stage suddenly said, "Nonsense, the price will definitely be higher. Everyone knows that it is the highest quality, so naturally they will pay more," another cultivator immediately said. It was just that Lin Yi felt that these two people were hired by the Cultivator Trade Association, but it didn't matter. The situation in front of him would only benefit Lin Yi. Lin Yi naturally wouldn't be stupid enough to question them. Chapter 2504 _ School Bell's Bodyguard Free Reading _ Chapter 2504 End of Bringing Surprises Part 2. Chapter 2498. I don't believe it. Although some people thought that the two people who suddenly spoke might be fake, what they said was not wrong. It was reasonable for the best quality medicinal pills to have a higher price. Look, I don't believe it. It's impossible for someone to send better quality medicinal pills than us. You know, the medicinal pills this time are provided by the Heavenly Elixir sect. Do you mean that someone's medicinal pills are better than the Heavenly Elixir sects? The young man finally couldn't help but stand up and ask. In the past auctions, the representatives of the hidden Wright family would always receive a lot of admiring gazes from other cultivators. However, this time, the same situation did not happen to the young man. He had coaxed and pestered his grandfather for a long time before he could attend this auction. In order to enjoy the admiring gazes of others, he had practiced acting tough for several days. He was prepared to say a few words when everyone was rushing to buy the elixir pills. Now that he had no place to use his skills, he suddenly became angry. Pan Gao, if you don't believe me, you can come and appraise it. Lu Xianxing glanced at the young man and said faintly, "You're welcome." The young man hesitated a little. His grandfather was the guest elder of the Yu family. Because of his heaven stage strength, he was allowed to learn alchemy from the Yu family. He was also given the name Pan. Now, he was considered a first-grade alchemist. Although his alchemy level was not satisfactory, he still had the ability to distinguish the quality of medicinal pills. So, when Lu Xianxing made this proposal, he really wanted to go forward and verify the authenticity. He really didn't believe that someone's alchemy level was so high. Moreover, he knew the source of this batch of medicinal pills from the Yu family. It was sent by the Heavenly Elixir sect. So, even if someone's alchemy level surpassed the hidden Yu family, it couldn't be better than the Heavenly Elixir sect, right? Hee, if you don't come and appraise it, then our auction will continue. Lu Xianxing said with a slight smile. He didn't want to offend the hidden Yu family. After all, Lin Yi's medicinal pills of good quality might still be available in the future. So, the business between the Cultivator Trading Association and the hidden Yu family still had to continue. It was all for the sake of getting a good price for these pills. Firstly, it was to express his goodwill to Lin Yi and see if they could work together for a long time. Secondly, it was to earn more commission for himself. All right then, since Mr. Lu has invited me so strongly, I shall act as the appraiser for everyone. Right Pan Gao made his decision in an instant. He stood up and walked slowly to the stage. The movement of the right arm. No one objected. After all, Mr. Lu had only been boasting about himself. After the auction ended, they had no way of finding fault with him. After all, the concept of a pill's quality was too vague. Whatever others said made sense. Of course, the reason why Right Pan Gao dared to go on stage was because his grandfather, the short robber, wasn't here. The short robber was actually here to hold the fort. After safely escorting the pills to this place, he spent the rest of the time cultivating in his room. He left everything to his grandson to handle. If the shorty was here, Right Pan Gao wouldn't go on stage so easily. He had to pretend to be well-behaved. "It's here. Mr. Gao on the right, please appraise it for us." Lu Xianxing pushed a bunch of small bottles towards Right Pan Gao, indicating that he could take a few out for inspection. Right Pan Gao didn't stand on ceremony. He randomly picked up a small bottle and opened it. Inside was a small qi-gathering pill. Although he couldn't refine it, he was very familiar with it. Right Pan Gao's expression changed immediately. The small chi-gathering pill was round in shape. Its color was even and full. There were two faintly discernible lines on it, proving that it was a second-grade pill. These were all the characteristics of a supreme-grade pill. Right Pan Gao naturally recognized it. Of the pills he sent over, only a few could reach this quality. The rest were either uneven in color, oval in shape, or had no lines. Of course, these only affected the final effect of the pill. It didn't mean that there was no effect. In other words, the effect was just slightly weaker. It must be a fluke. Yu Pangao thought that he had casually picked up the best one, but the others might not be as good. So he quickly picked up another small bottle and opened it to check. However, his expression changed again. This was a small chi-gathering pill. Its quality was basically the same as the previous one. They were both supreme grade. Right Pan Gao took a deep breath. He put down the small bottle in his hand and opened another bottle further away. This time, it was a small Huan pill, but it was still supreme grade. Impossible. Definitely impossible. Right Pan Gao's movements became faster and faster. He basically opened half of the small bottles in front of him, but all of them were supreme grade. Right Pan Gao panted heavily, unwilling to give up. His eyes were wide open, filled with shock and disbelief. How is it, Mr. Gao on the right? Can you announce the results of your appraisal? Lu Xiansheng smiled. Right Pan Gao hesitated. However, he didn't dare to speak carelessly in this situation. He could only bite the bullet and say, yes, they are all supreme grade pills, in fact. Everyone had already guessed this result from Right Pan Gao's expression. However, when Right Pan Gao said it, everyone believed it. These cultivators didn't care about the Hidden Yu family's reputation. They only wanted to buy better things that were more useful to them. Hence, they were all eager to participate in the auction. Hee, Mr. Gao on the right, thank you for your appraisal. You can go back now. Lu Xiansheng gestured for everyone to leave. Then he said to everyone, all right, let's start the auction. Yu Pangao walked back to his seat gloomily, and the auction had officially begun. As expected, the elixirs that Lin Yi sent were auctioned at an average price of 15 million, while the Hidden House Yu's elixirs remained at the previous price of 10 million, no more, no less. However, although the price did not decrease, Right Pan Gao's expression was ugly with jealousy. Someone had stolen the Hidden Yu family's business. In previous auctions, the Hidden Yu family's pills were very popular. The supply could not meet the demand. However, this time, at the end of the auction, no one bid. Obviously, those who wanted to buy the pills had already bought them. Seeing that the situation was not right, Lu Xiansheng had no choice but to let the remaining pills go unsold. Lin Yi's goal here was to get the pure topaz. The other items didn't have much use to him, so he closed his eyes and rested while the others were auctioning off their items. He'd only be able to focus when the pure topaz was auctioned off. Chapter 2505. School Bell's Bodyguard, free reading _ chapter 2505. I don't believe it. Update complete. Chapter 2499. The next item to be auctioned is pure topaz. Lu Xiansheng took a small box from the hands of a disciple and opened it in front of everyone, revealing the contents inside. He then said, I don't need to introduce the uses of pure topaz. Everyone should know that pure jade is something that must be used to modify heaven-ranked divine weapons. This piece of pure topaz is not small. The starting price is 10 million, and each bid must not be less than 1 million. All right, let the auction begin. Lin Yi's eyes immediately lit up, although Lu Xiansheng described the size of the pure topaz. In reality, the pure topaz was really not big. It was only the size of a fist. However, the market price of this kind of pure topaz was already high. 10 million was really not a lot. Of course, the auction could not be completed with the starting price, especially in this kind of place. Before Lin could even bid, someone had already bid. 15 million. A cultivator raised the number plate in his hand and said directly. Lin looked towards the direction of the voice. He did not expect it to be the heaven-rank cultivator who exchanged for the turtle spit ice crystal. After he went back, it was obvious that he wanted to modify weapons. At this time, it was reasonable to bid for pure topaz. It was not a rare thing. However, Linny secretly regretted it. If he knew that this guy would interfere, it would be better to wait for the auction to end before exchanging with him. Before he obtained the turtle spit ice crystal, he might not be enthusiastic enough to bid for a piece of pure topaz. 20 million. Another voice sounded. It was actually Right Pan Gao. Lin did not expect this pure topaz to be so popular. Even Right Pan Gao wanted it. 21 million. Another thin and tall cultivator bid, but the increment was not as fierce as the previous two. 25 million. The heaven-rank cultivator bid again. 30 million. Right Pan Gao also raised his hand and bid. 31 million. The thin and tall cultivator hesitated for a moment and also bid. This pure topaz appreciated very quickly. It appreciated faster than the previous auction items. In the blink of an eye, it had already exceeded 30 million. From the looks of it, the price was still rising. Lu Xianxing's mouth revealed a trace of a smile. This situation was what he was most happy to see. The auction was not afraid of people bidding. What they were afraid of was no one bidding for the item. It was the same pure-colored jade. It had appeared in previous auctions, but sometimes it was sold at a low price of more than 10 million, which made Lu Xianxing's heart bleed. After all, a piece of pure-colored jade could be sold for a similar price in the jewelry market, let alone a cultivator's auction. But this thing was just a coincidence. Lu Xianxing also understood that when there was no one to buy it, no matter how good it was a money. When there was someone to buy it, even if it wasn't worth much, it was still money. 35 million. The heaven-rank cultivator raised the price once again. 50 million. Yu Pangao looked impatiently at the heaven-ranked cultivator. Although he knew that this person was a heaven-ranked cultivator, in his opinion, how could an itinerant cultivator be a match for the Hidden Yu family? Therefore, Right Pan Gao directly threw out a high price of 50 million. When the Heaven Realm cultivator heard Pan Gao's bid, he seemed very angry. But he was a heaven-rank rogue cultivator. Although he didn't rely on any family or sect, he made a lot of money as a bodyguard for a wealthy merchant. Occasionally, he would also secretly accept some international bounty hunter missions, accumulating a considerable amount of wealth. 60 million. The heaven-ranked cultivator called out his bid again. If it wasn't for the fact that he urgently needed jade to refine weapons, he wouldn't spend 60 million on these things. Wouldn't that be like having nowhere to spend his money? The tall and skinny man was stunned. He never thought that a pure yellow jade could be raised to a high price of 60 million. This was already beyond the limit of what he could bear. Therefore, he shook his head and put down the sign in his hand. He gave up the bid, but Pan Gao was unwilling to give up. He didn't know what other people would use this pure yellow jade for, but he was determined to get it, because this was a mission given by Old Master Yu, and he heard that it seemed to be related to the Heavenly Elixir sect. 80 million. Pan Gao was furious. Why was this person fighting with him? Why couldn't he buy anything? Why did he have to fight with me for this thing? 100 million. The heaven-ranked cultivator was also anxious. It wasn't that he had to buy it, but the opportunity was here. If he gave up and went back to look for pure jade, it wouldn't be worth it. Therefore, he also called out a sky-high price. If he couldn't, he could only give up. After all, his strength wasn't as strong as the Hidden Yu family. 110 million. Pan Gao continued to raise the price. No matter what, he was determined to get this pure yellow jade. The heaven-ranked cultivator gave up unwillingly. He put the sign in his hand on the table and didn't continue to raise the price. Although Lu Xiansheng felt that it was a pity that no one continued to raise the price, it was rare for a pure yellow jade to be sold for more than 100 million. In the last auction, a pure purple jade was only sold for 32 million. It wasn't even a third of this time's price. 110 million going once. Lu Xiansheng began to call out the price. 120 million. Lin Yi raised the sign in his hand. This price had already exceeded Lin Yi's expectations. If it wasn't for Lin Yi's previous elixirs that were sold for nearly 300 million, he would still be left with more than 200 million after deducting the commission. Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't have the money to buy it. Pan Gao didn't expect that the heaven-ranked cultivator wouldn't come to compete with him. Instead, someone came out of nowhere and started to compete with him again. His face turned extremely ugly. He turned to look at Lin Yi, wanting to see if Lin Yi was hired by the auction. Lin Yi didn't bother with the Pan Gao on the right. He just sat there calmly after saying his price. 130 million. Pan Gao tried to test the waters, unwilling to give up. 131 million. Although Lin Yi had money, he couldn't spend it recklessly. Wouldn't it be better to give the extra money to Yu Xiaoke to develop the orphanage? F***CK. Pan Gao heard Lin Yi's bidding method and was instantly enraged. Who would increase the price like this? Was it fun? Although the minimum price increase could be 1 million. In reality, once the price of an item reached a certain level, no one would do that. It was equivalent to purposely making things difficult for others. 150 million. Yu Pan Gao glared at Lin Yi. 151 million. Lin Yi said faintly, but he was a little anxious in his heart. Although he made a lot of money from elixirs, money shouldn't be squandered like this. In the blink of an eye, it was already 150 million. Although the materials of this elixir belonged to House Yu, and it was self-produced and sold. There wasn't much cost, but it was basically a one-off business. It was impossible to expect to get more materials from House Yu. Chapter 2500. He was speechless. 180 million. This pure topaz belongs to the Hidden Yu family. Yu Pan raised a sign and looked at Lu Xiansheng. Yu Pan Gao's intention was clear. He wanted Lu Xiansheng to make the final decision as soon as possible. He called out 180 million. This was already giving the Cultivator Trading Association enough face. It suddenly increased from 150 million to nearly 30 million. Lu Xiansheng smiled bitterly in his heart. He didn't expect to face these two people in the end. One was from the Hidden Yu family, and the other was the person who consigned the elixirs. He really didn't know how to choose. If it was any other time, he would give Yu Pan Gao face and make the final decision. But now, doing so was equivalent to offending a potential big supplier of the Cultivator Trading Association. Look, 181 million. Lin Yi frowned secretly. If this continued, he definitely wouldn't be Yu Pan Gao's opponent. The Hidden Yu family was rich. Kid, it seems that you are deliberately going against the Hidden Yu family? Yu Pan Gao was furious. He stood up and stared at Lin Yi fiercely. I have already said that this pure topaz belongs to the Hidden Yu family. What a joke. Lin Yi said coldly. The rule of the auction is that the highest bidder wins. I have never heard of anyone saying that this thing belongs to me, and no one will compete. However, if you insist that I am going against the Hidden Yu family, then so be it. Yu Pan Gao glared at Lin Yi. His chest heaved up and down. After a while, he said to Lu Xiansheng, 200 million. Kid, if you know what's good for you, give this thing to me. 201 million. Lin Yi raised the sign with his right hand, but his left hand didn't stop. He directly flicked a small stone that he picked up from the ground and shot it at Yu Pangao, who was not far away. This guy had raised the price to 200 million, and Lin Yi couldn't let him continue. If he did, he wouldn't have the money to pay. Therefore, after much consideration, Lin Yi could only think of such a method, which was to seal the acupoint of the right Pangao. Lu Xiansheng wanted to make him temporarily speechless so that Lu Xiansheng could make the final decision. Right Pangao wanted to continue bidding, but he suddenly realized that he couldn't speak. Although he was a cultivator, what he cultivated was the mental cultivation method of an alchemist. His vigilance was relatively poor. He did not expect that Lin Yi would use a small stone to attack him, so he did not use his true qi to protect his body, and was directly hit on his acupoint. He was speechless. Yu Pangao's mouth gaped open in shock, but he could not utter a single word. "Mr. Lu, since Pangao has stopped bidding, can we drop the hammer now?" Lin Yi looked at Lu Xiansheng and asked. Although Lu Xiansheng found it strange that Pangao had stopped bidding with his mouth wide open, he still followed the rules of the auction and asked, 201 million going once, 201 million going twice. Ha. Pangao wanted to speak, but he couldn't. It was very difficult. The vice president of Heaven Division looked at Pangao and frowned. However, Lin Yi did it secretly, throwing the small stone at the same time he bid. At that time, everyone's attention was on him. So naturally, no one looked at Pangao, not even the vice president of Heaven Division. They didn't notice this detail. It wasn't that he didn't notice it, but that he didn't pay attention at all. He was only here to hold the fort. In his opinion, no one would cause trouble at the auction, so it was even more impossible for him to pay attention to everyone in the auction. Moreover, the acupoint was a legendary martial art technique. Most cultivators had only heard of it but had never seen it before. They didn't know how to use it, so no one thought in this direction. 201 million going thrice sold. Lu Xiansheng raised the small hammer and knocked it down, finalizing the deal. Congratulations to the winner. After the auction ends, come to me to complete the procedures. Wait, I bid. Not long after Lu Xiansheng finished speaking, Pangao spoke again. I bid 210 million. You can't sell it to him. I'm sorry, I've already bid for it. Lin Yi looked at Pangao mockingly and said, What were you doing earlier? I suddenly couldn't speak. Pangao also felt that this matter was a bit strange. Why did he suddenly lose his ability to speak? In fact, Lin Yi's timing was impeccable, controlling the strength of the pressure point, so that the right Pangao would be rendered speechless for a short period of time. When the time was over, the right Pangao would return to normal, and it wouldn't draw too much suspicion. A gentleman can't blame himself. If you can't speak, who are you blaming? Lin Yi glanced at Pangao, then turned his head and ignored him. Although the matter was a bit strange, Lu Xiansheng wanted the auction to proceed normally. He didn't have time to study Pangao's matter, so he directly moved on to the next treasure. Pangao, on the other hand, looked at Lin Yi hatefully. It didn't matter what the reason was. It didn't matter if it was Lin Yi's doing or not. This pure topaz was mine. I'll let you have it for a while, but it'll still end up in my hands in the end. I'll save a lot of money too. Pangao had already made up his mind to snatch it. He was prepared to wait for the auction to end, then let his grandfather do it. He wasn't very clear about what this pure topaz was used for. He only knew that this pure topaz was hidden, and the Pangao family was determined to get it. If anything went wrong, it would be hard for him and his grandfather to explain to the family. Especially after his grandfather had just carried out a mission and messed it up, they were even more eager to perform meritorious deeds to wash away the previous shame. Of course, the failure of the previous mission wasn't actually his grandfather's fault. The enemy was too strong, and his grandfather had no choice. After the hidden, Pan Gao family knew the reason. They didn't say anything, but his grandfather felt a little embarrassed. The mission of this auction was simple and easy. He thought that it would be completed smoothly, but who would have thought that there would be someone who interfered? In the following auctions, because there wasn't anything that Lin Yi wanted, Lin Yi didn't pay too much attention to it. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, the auction was over. Lin Yi stood up and walked to the inner room at the back of the auction hall to settle the previously sold elixirs and purchase pure topaz. Most of the people at the auction didn't want to reveal their names and identities, especially when there were cultivators around. Therefore, other than a few people who swiped their cards, most people carried large suitcases with Swiss francs to carry out transactions. It seemed that this was a long-standing rule. The exchange rate of Swiss francs was relatively high, and the face value of banknotes was relatively large, so it was used as the currency used in the Cultivator Trading Association. Chapter 2507. School Bell's Bodyguard, Free Reading. Chapter 2507. I am speechless. Update complete. Chapter 2501. Yang Qiqi's disappointment came from Lin, who walked up to Lu Xianxing according to his number. HM, you have an auction item and an auction item. Should we settle it together? Lu Xianxing looked at Lin Yi's number and asked, Let's settle it together, Lin Yi said. Okay. Lu Xianxing nodded and started calculating. He was vague about the auction item, but he didn't say what Lin Yi was auctioning. No one would suspect anything. After all, there were so many things in this auction. Who knew what Lin Yi was auctioning? Lu Xianxing calculated Lin Yi's bill and realized that he still owed Lin Yi 40 million. It was equivalent to 6 million Swiss francs, so he asked directly, do you want to transfer or cash? Cash, Lin Yi said. He didn't want to expose his real identity yet. The longer people found out about his elixir refining, the better. With the relationship between House Yu and the Cultivator Trade Association, it wouldn't be hard to get information about Lin Yi. So, Lin Yi tried not to leave any information related to himself, such as his bank account number. Although Lin Yi had an anonymous account abroad, Lin Yi had used it many times. If someone wanted to contact him, it wouldn't be hard to contact Lin Yi. Okay. Lu Xianxing gave Lin Yi a piece of paper and the pure yellow jade that Lin Yi got from the auction. He said to Lin Yi, go to the window over there and get the cash. Thank you. Lin Yi took the paper and put the pure yellow jade away carefully. He went to another window and passed the paper over. The disciple glanced at it and went to the inner room to prepare. After a while, he came back with a suitcase and gave it to Lin Yi. Sir, your money is here. You can count it. No need. After Lin Yi took the suitcase, he went straight to the door. The size of the suitcase was fixed. Even if it was only 10,000 Swiss francs, the Cultivator Trade Association would still use a large suitcase. This was also for the sake of secrecy. No one would be able to judge the amount of money inside from the size of the suitcase, and no one would be able to guess what the item was being auctioned. Lin Yi naturally wouldn't be stupid enough to count the number on the spot. That would be tantamount to confessing. If someone added the price of the pure topaz from before, it wouldn't be difficult to imagine the total value of those pills. Moreover, Lin Yi did not believe that the Cultivator Trade Association would cheat in this aspect. Lu Xianxing didn't say anything, but after the vice president of Heaven Division saw Lin Yi leave, his eyes flashed. He didn't tell Lu Xianxing his plan. After all, although the Cultivator Trade Association was strong, it was an organization that emphasized fairness and justice. Lu Xianxing was also a relatively decent person. Although his position wasn't as high as the vice president, he was the chief auctioneer and appraiser of the market square. His status in the Cultivator Trade Association was also aloof. Even if the vice president of Heaven Division didn't give him face, he couldn't do anything to him. He was a special talent of the Cultivator Trade Association. Even the president would be polite to him. What the vice president of Heaven Division wanted to do was against the morality of the Cultivator Trade Association. His disciple was killed after failing to ask for a bribe. It didn't make sense for him to take revenge. If this was known by the president, he would definitely not let it go easily. Especially if the other hostile vice president knew about it, he would lose a layer of skin. So the vice president didn't plan on telling Lu Xianxing at all. After Lin Yi left, the vice president found an excuse and left the office. He had to plan to surround Lin Yi at the foot of the mountain. After Lin Yi left his seat, a lot of people prepared their positions. Yang Qiqi saw that the Heaven Division was about to leave. After hesitating for a moment, he quickly caught up and called out, "Senior, please wait." "Oh, it's you." The Heaven Division turned around and saw Yang Qiqi. He still had an impression of Yang Qiqi. She was the girl who wanted to trade the blue crystal for the blood of an Earth Element Sky class spirit beast. "Senior, my blue crystal. I don't have it on me right now, but don't worry, I'll get it as soon as I get home and trade it with you. Please don't give it to anyone else. I beg you," Yang Qiqi said sincerely. Lin Yi had taken the blue crystal, but Qiqi knew that there would be another blue crystal up for sale in the upcoming auction abroad. She'd go all out to get another blue crystal and bring it back to trade with the Sky class. "Ha ha. I'm sorry, little girl, but I've already traded the blood away," the Sky class practitioner said to Qiqi. "So, I can't trade with you anymore." "Ah? What?" Qiqi paled upon hearing the Sky class practitioner's words. "It's already been traded? How is that possible? How could this be? Last night, someone brought something I needed and traded it with me. I couldn't refuse," the Heaven Division said. "So, little girl, there's nothing I can do." "Ah, what did he trade with you?" Yang Qiqi asked. "It's what I need, something from a water element, Heaven class," the Heaven Division said. "Then, can you tell me who it was that traded the blood away?" Qiqi had no choice but to ask for the next best thing. "I can't tell you that. It's a personal secret. I can't reveal his identity without the person's permission." The Heaven Division shook his head. "Wasn't it the person sitting beside you, fighting with Right Pan Gao for the yellow jade?" But he couldn't say that already Lin Yi and Yang Qiqi looked like they knew each other, and they were even sitting together. But the more it was like that, the weirder the Heaven Division felt. The two were sitting together, and Lin Yi hadn't told Yang Qiqi the truth. Wasn't that hiding something? And so the Heaven Division wouldn't be the bad guy and reveal things like that. On the contrary, he was very grateful to Lin Yi for giving him what he needed, and even beating Pan Gao in the competition for the pure topaz, allowing him to vent some of his frustrations. Because Lin Yi had entered the competition later, the Heaven Division had already given up. He didn't hate Lin Yi at all. "I see." Yang Qiqi knew that she was forcing the Heaven Division. "All right, little girl, I'll be leaving now." The Heaven Division turned around and left the auction house. Chapter 25:08 The Campus Belle's bodyguard is free. Yang Qiqi's disappointment update was complete. Chapter 25:02 You're Lin Yi? From Qiqi looked at the back view of the man leaving, filled with sadness and regret. She couldn't stop the tears from flowing down her cheeks. She'd failed. She'd failed in the end. She couldn't get the blood. So what would happen to Lil Nine? Lin Yi walked out from the back of the auction house and saw Qiqi talking to the Sky class from afar. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he saw Qiqi crying on the ground. This girl was an assassin. How could she be so weak, coming out to do a mission like that? Shaking his head, Lin Yi walked over to Qiqi quickly. Qiqi heard footsteps beside her and raised her head. It was Lin Yi, and she pouted before lowering her head again, crying even harder. This guy was so evil. He was here to watch the show, wasn't he? You still have the blue crystal? Lin Yi asked. Lin Yi had heard the conversation between Chi-Chi and the Sky class, and he was very interested in the fact that Chi-Chi still had the blue crystal. What does that have to do with you? You're not going to steal my blue crystal, are you? Chi-Chi thought that Lin Yi was going to steal her stuff again. She raised her head and glared at Lin Yi. Don't think that you can bully me just because you're strong. Wait until my dad comes back. He won't let you get away with this. Pfft. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Chi-Chi's words. Was this a competition of fathers? What are you laughing at? I'm telling you, my dad's really strong. Even his disciple can beat you up half to death. Chi-Chi got even angrier at the sight of Lin Yi laughing. She warned Lin Yi fiercely. It's nothing. Lin Yi shook his head helplessly as he took out the blood from his pocket and put it in Chi-Chi's hand. Ah, this is... Chi-Chi stared at the bottle Lin Yi had given her in disbelief, her eyes wide, as she raised her head. You don't always bite the hand that feeds you in the future. Lin Yi patted Chi-Chi's head. Looks like Mr. Donga's story was for nothing. You really have a bad memory. Not everyone is as kind as me. Chi-Chi paused and raised her head, a strange look on her face. What do you mean? There was an idiot who saved an injured girl on the road. The girl lost too much blood and almost died. Then the idiot saved the girl. That girl wanted to kill that idiot for looking at her body. There was also an idiot who saw a young girl fail a mission in Blue Town. He helped the young girl, but the young girl still seemed to hold a grudge against him. After a while, the idiot went to participate in the Ice Palace's trial and encountered that young girl again. That young girl had been robbed of her treasures. Thus, the idiot helped the girl find many treasures of heaven and earth, helping her complete the task. But after a certain period of time, after a while, the girl tried to steal his blue crystal again. Lin Yi told her about his encounters with Chi-Chi. You're that Lin Yi? Chi-Chi's shocked face got even more colorful after hearing Lin Yi's words. She stared at Lin Yi, speechless. She didn't understand what was going on. She never would have thought that this person would be her savior. All right, go back early. This is my phone number. Call me if there's any news about the blue crystal. Lin Yi gave Chi-Chi a piece of paper. Of course, you can come to me for revenge, but not today. Leave as soon as possible. Someone's looking for trouble. Someone's looking for trouble? Are you okay? Do you need my help? Chi-Chi asked subconsciously. The person in front of her was Lin Yi, and this kind of change changed Chi-Chi's heart as well. Chi-Chi's sudden change made Lin Yi speechless. Was this girl suddenly caring about him? Lin Yi shook his head with a smile. It's nothing. Just take care of yourself. Oh, Chi-Chi felt a little worried all of a sudden. She didn't know why, but the hatred she had for Lin Yi was gone all of a sudden. Could it be that she was starting to like him? That couldn't be, right? She loved Brother Xiao Yi unwaveringly. How could she fall in love with someone else? That was impossible. Absolutely impossible. Yes, he must have given her the blood of an Earth Element Sky class spirit beast, and she let him go because he could save Lil 9. That had to be it. I'm leaving. Lin Yi didn't linger. He realized that Han Xiaopa seemed to be in trouble as well. This trouble came from the hidden house Pan Gao. He was pointing at Han Xiaopa and Xiaoka with an arrogant face. Who was that person sitting with you? Don't tell me you don't know him. Tell me, and I'll only look for trouble with him. I won't do anything to you. You guessed? Right, we really don't know him. Han Xiaopa had been with Lin Yi for a while now, and his temperament had changed. He was no longer the weak and cautious Han Xiaopa of the Hidden House although the Hidden House couldn't be compared to the Hidden House As long as Lin Yi was on their side, the Hidden House wouldn't dare do anything to them. Pan Gao raged. He didn't think that this person would be this ignorant, rebutting him. Do you know who I am? I do. Aren't you called Pan Gao? Mr. Lu has said it many times. You're from the hidden house, you. Han Xiaopa said faintly, since you know I'm from the hidden house, you, why are you going against me? Pan Gao raged. So what if I'm right? I'm not afraid to tell you that you're no match for me. Han Xiaopa was someone who only knew how to make pills. It was a piece of cake for him to beat Pan Gao. Who are you? Pan Gao was both shocked and angry. All right, aren't you looking for me? What are you yelling for? I didn't run away. I just went to get the pure topaz. Lin Yi patted Pan Gao's shoulder and said faintly. Pan Gao was still angry, but he jumped when Lin Yi suddenly patted him from behind. He went to find Han Xiaopa and Xiaoka because he was afraid that Lin Yi would run away. But now that Lin Yi was back, he didn't need to find anyone else. He turned to face Lin Yi. Why did you pat me? Do you know who I am? Chapter 25:09. The Campus Belle's bodyguard is free. Your Lin Yi. Update complete. Chapter 25:03. Do you have amnesia? He just told you that you are the hidden house use, right, Pan Gao, and you turn around and forgot? With your IQ, don't run around on the streets. You'll get lost again. Lin Yi looked at, right, Pan Gao mockingly. Kid, who doesn't know how to talk fast? I just want to ask you one question. The hidden house you is determined to get the pure topaz. Are you going to let it go or not? Right, Pan Gao asked. If you wanted to let it go, I would have let you have it just now. Lin Yi said, all right, if this is what you want, you can leave. Good, very good. I'll remember you. Right, Pan Gao nodded and smiled instead of being angry. I want to see how long you can keep the pure topaz in your hands. With that, Right, Pan Gao didn't wait for Lin Yi's reply. He turned around and left, quickly disappearing from Lin Yi's sight. However, Lin Yi knew that Right Pan Gao didn't really leave just like that. He probably asked his grandfather to think of a way to deal with him, secretly. Lin Yi passed the box to Yu Xiaoka and said, This is for you? For me? Yu Xiaoka was stunned. And you and Han Xiaopa go down the mountain first. Wait for me at the parking lot. Lin Yi told Yu Xiaoka and Han Xiaopa. There were many people at the parking lot at the bottom of the mountain. It was relatively safer there. As long as they didn't initiate a conversation with strangers, there wouldn't be any problems. Han Xiaopa's expression changed slightly. He thought of something and said, Boss, that right, Pan Gao? And don't worry. Lin Yi waved his hand. He didn't want Han Xiaopa and Yu Xiaoka to worry. Even if he told them the truth, they wouldn't be able to help much with their strength. So Lin Yi decided to take it on himself. To be honest, Lin Yi was not afraid of the enemies from the Hidden Yu family. Lin Yi was afraid of the vice president of Heaven Stage. He was an expert at the peak of the early phase of the Heaven rank, and it seemed that he was slightly stronger than the average Heaven rank expert. Lin Yi wasn't sure if he could deal with him. After all, Lin Yi's current martial skills could be used for sneak attacks, but it was a head-on confrontation. Lin Yi did not have any advantage. All right, we'll be leaving first. Han Xiaopa nodded. Then, be careful. Xiaoka looked at Lin Yi worriedly and suddenly leaned forward bravely, kissing Lin Yi's lips. Lin Yi was startled. Yu Xiaoka's sudden action made his heart skip a beat. Although both of them were masked, there was no skin contact. However, Lin Yi had never experienced his heart beating like an electric current before. At this moment, Lin Yi realized that Xiaoka had occupied a large place in his heart without him realizing it. I'll wait for you. Xiaoka was brave, but she couldn't let go in front of Han Xiaopa. It was already amazing that she could do this, and it showed how much she liked the male thief. She quickly separated after kissing Lin Yi. Her eyes were filled with shyness as she said to Lin Yi, Okay, I will. Lin Yi said solemnly. Not far away, Yang Qiqi was still paying attention to Lin Yi's movements. She didn't know why, but for some reason, she felt a wave of discomfort when she saw Xiaoka taking the initiative to kiss her. How shameless, taking the initiative to kiss a man. It was too embarrassing. Yang Qiqi only cared about cursing Xiaoka. She didn't notice the road under her feet and stepped on a stone. She staggered and almost fell to the ground. Seeing that everyone was looking at her strangely, Yang Qiqi snorted and left quickly. Practitioners could stagger when they fell. How stupid would a cultivator be? Lin watched as Han Xiaopa and Xiaoka left the market and went to the parking lot not far away. A cold smile appeared on his face as he turned and walked in another direction. This direction wasn't the market, and it wasn't the way to leave either. It was another path up the mountain. This road was obviously not a regular road, but a rugged natural path that was very difficult to walk. It was in the opposite direction of the cultivator's market. In the cultivator's market, the vice president of Heaven Rank was sitting in a courtyard, and the other person was his disappointing disciple, Skinny Stick. Master, are we just going to let that kid leave like this? He doesn't just have blue crystals, he also has yellow jade. Skinny said anxiously. Don't worry. The vice president smiled faintly and waved his hand at the skinny man. It's impossible for him to leave. Where can he go? Don't worry, my eyes have been watching him. Not only did he not leave, but he went to another mountain path. I don't know if he knows something or is doing it on purpose. Mountain path? Isn't that the herb plantation of our Cultivator Trade Association? He went up. Skinny's face changed. So, I don't know what he's doing up there. The vice chairman said, but don't worry, if we don't do it, someone will do it for us. Master, you mean? Skinny asked carefully. Can he go back safely after offending the Hidden House Yu? You don't have to think about the yellow jade. The Hidden House Yu is determined to get it. There's no point in us snatching it back. Although it was auctioned for more than 200 million this time, it might not be the same price the next time. Tens of millions at most. We don't need to offend the Hidden House Yu for such a thing. The vice chairman said, our goal this time is the blue crystal. Oh, master, you mean to let the Hidden House Yu make the first move? The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. We'll wait until they're almost done before we make our move. Skinny understood what his master meant. Yes, that's it. The vice chairman nodded. But that kid is just a peak Earth class mid-stage master. Is there a need to do this? If we work together with the Hidden House Yu, maybe we can get more benefits? Skinny asked in confusion. Just peak Earth class mid-stage? If it's just that, how did he cripple your brothers and almost kill them? The vice chairman sneered and said, don't you need to use your brain to think about it? Skinny finally remembered why they were looking for Lin Yi. He immediately broke out in a cold sweat. Yes, how could a peak Earth class mid-stage master so easily kill a peak Earth class late-stage master? Either Lin Yi was able to fight someone stronger than him, or he was hiding his true strength. One had to know that even a Sky class early phase couldn't kill an Earth class late phase peak with just one move. It was simply unbelievable. To be continued. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.